Check one. There we go. I think that's good. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Oh, my goodness. Hold on. Want to make sure I got a good mic level. It's not over modulating. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. I am Pugs Moran. This is the Rant, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in beautiful. Oh, God, I got to come up with a line. The standard line is beautiful downtown, wherever the hell I am. But I'm in Chicago, but I'm not in downtown Chicago. I'm on the mighty South Side. Mighty South Side, big story in the news today about the mighty South Side. You can't keep us down. Nah. Big doings, big happenings. We'll get to that. We do talk radio, talk for normals. That's what I like to call it, normal people. I don't care how you voted. You shouldn't care how I voted. We're just going to talk about stuff, as it comes across. We're not going to be dyed-in-the-wool, glazed eyes. No, this is what I've been told to think. No, we all just kind of mix it up. Bunch of people getting together every day for 4 years now. We've been getting together every day for 4 years doing this. We got some far right MAGA. We got some far left libtards. We got a bunch of us in the middle, and we're all just hanging out. And look at us. Nobody's been killed yet. Nobody, not a single chat murder has occurred. So I think that's progress. We do current events, hot topics, whatever it is, trends, things people are talking about. As I say, I'll cover everything like big stories, but I try not to do what typical AM radio does, which is take out a position that is, coincidentally, completely tied to the talking points set out by one of the political parties. And if we're talking about talk radio in America, it's the right wing. It's all talk radio in America is right-wing talk. And there ain't nothing for us normal folks. By the way, speaking of us normal folks, I do this show for normal people. You're normal. If you can put up with, okay, I'll put it this way. If you are a liberal-minded left person who can put up with the concept that I think that the Second Amendment should be defended, and I believe that boys are boys and girls are girls, if you can put up with that being on the left, then you're a normal person, because those are just my thoughts. And if you're a person on the right and you're a MAGA person and you can't put up with the fact that I think that Donald Trump is a con man who will die in prison, well, then get out of here. You know what I mean? This isn't for you. But that's kind of who we're serving. That's who I am. And that's who I think most people are. Now, I'd love to go into my little rant about the 15 on the right and the 15 on the left, but that fucking thing's been stolen. That whole thing has been hijacked. We'll get into that. Somebody much bigger and more powerful in this form of media is now doing my whole 15, 70 us. They just fucking stole it. And I'm losing my mind over it. Got a lot we got to talk about. Let me tell you about what we're going to talk about this Friday. Okay. First of all, did you see that football game last night? Oh my God. Now, I hyped it yesterday. I said, I believe this may, in fact, be the most important Thursday night football game in the history of Thursday night football. It was the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday night football. The first time in Thursday night football history, the two 11-win teams met for something that meant something on Thursday night football. I mean, usually you're getting some cross of the Oakland Raiders versus the New York Giants on Thursday night football. They traditionally in the first couple of years of the Thursday night football broadcast were stricken with really bad draws. and that's because, your ESPNs and your Fox Sports and your NBC Sunday Night Footballs, they kind of made sure that Amazon got the short stick there for the first couple of years. But last night was the best football game of the year. And there have been some great football games this year, and I am sure, as any fan of the NFL will tell you, there are going to be some great football games in the next few weeks. But man, oh man, last night is why I love football. We'll talk a little bit about that game, but mostly what we're going to talk about is the Puka Nacua situation that we discussed yesterday. He went on the influencer. The little kids like this guy, Aiden Ross, to the tune of like $50 million a year. But anyway, Puka Nakua, we talked this story yesterday. Puka Nakua went on this Aiden Ross show, and Aiden Ross is, I guess, a noted anti-Semite. I don't know the stories that I've read. But then I went to Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is like, yeah, he claims to be Jewish. He says he's Jewish. And then I read another story. It's like, yeah, he says he's Muslim. So I don't know what he does. He's a troublemaker. He's a 25-year-old multimillionaire troll. That's who this Aiden Ross is. So he gets big dumb Puka Nakua there in the studio, and they start interviewing him. And I say big dumb Puka Nakua because he's a big dumb guy. He's a football wide receiver. He went to Washington. He's young. I don't know. Okay. But let me just say, was Puka Nakua raised in Hawaii? It sounds like maybe he was. And I do know that there was like a Hawaiian pipeline. There was a Samoan pipeline between that part of the world and the University of Washington. I mean, going all the way back to Olin Kreutz. I mean, that is, if you've got a Makanakalaka name, you are most likely playing for the Washington Huskies. So if that is the case, if Puka Nakua was raised like over, I don't know if you know this about people raised in Hawaii, but they're almost like from a different century. They're seriously, I'm not kidding. It's like the only way that they know about the outside world is what tourists tell them about. Seriously, I'm not kidding. They're like tribal people with driver's licenses. That's what. Anyway, my point is this: he's probably naive. Puka Nakua is probably naive, and he goes on the Aiden Ross show, and Aiden Ross goes, "I want you to do an end zone dance if you score a touchdown." And Puka Nakua is all okay, and he's like, "Here's what you do," and then he did some like. Apparently, Aiden Ross has a celebration dance that he calls the Jew dance. The Jew dance. And it ends with him going, money, money, money. Like that's how the dance ends. So Aiden Ross tries to get Puka Nakua to do it, and he doesn't. We watched that yesterday. But then Puka Nakua promised that the next time he scores a touchdown, he'll do that dance. I don't know that Puka Nakua knew that it was the Jew dance per se. I don't know what his familiarity is. Again, Puka Nakua, I think, is probably just a big dumb kid from fucking Hawaii who's real naive and like, what? People hate Jews? Like, he probably doesn't even know that that's a thing. Anyway, he played, he scored, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Puka Nakua and what he had to say after people explained to him about the Jew dance and what did he do when he got into the end zone. Got that story. What a game, though, man. Some details now about the horrible Greg Biffle plane crash that we talked about yesterday. We'll get into some of those details. That broke while we were on the air yesterday. And that one was like, I told a little story about how Greg Biffle was one of the most frequent NASCAR guests that we had on the Pugs and Kelly show. NASCAR was really big in Texas, as you can imagine. Like I'm explaining this to people in Texas. NASCAR is really big, and every year, the big NASCAR races would come through town. I think there were 2 of them a year. And our radio station was the official flagship of Texas Motor Speedway. That whole deal. So we had a direct pipeline with the drivers. So, they would come in weeks before the race to hype the race on promotional tours and all that. Anyway, Greg Biffle was the one we always said we wanted. Greg Biffle, Kevin Harvick, sometimes they'd give us, somebody else. Not so great. They're all nice, but not all great personalities. Greg Biffle was a good personality. Greg Biffle, and I posted this yesterday on Twitter. I don't call it X. I posted yesterday. Greg was, and I realized this, and I reached out to Sybil, but she didn't respond. I think Greg Biffle was our first guest. It's certainly one of. I know the first guest that we had on the Pugs and Kelly show was a combination of Mark Cuban and Craig Gass, the comedian. I know that those 2 were on the first show. But I think Greg Biffle was like maybe that first week, and he was just a wonderful man. And as I posted on Twitter, the thing about Greg Biffle was he was really famous. Like in that microcosm of NASCAR, people are crazy about NASCAR. I mean, you see it. If you drive on the roads, you'll see other people with all their favorite drivers tattooed, stickered all over their back and stuff. Biffle was very popular. He was good. He was really good too. But more than that, Kelly and I didn't know dick about NASCAR. This is kind of my point. We didn't know NASCAR. I like racing, as you can see behind me. I like racing. But I like open wheeled racing. I like Formula One and IndyCar. I was never really a NASCAR guy. I don't know these guys. Greg Biffle and Kevin Harvick, I should say. Greg Biffle and Kevin Harvick are two guys that were uniquely good at doing fun, non-NASCAR interviews. Kevin Harvick and Greg Biffle recognized that we didn't know dick about NASCAR, and that's not what we were going to talk about. So they were open to like talking about their wives and, their families and, other drivers and, all that kind of stuff. He was a great guest. But off the air, this is what I mean. These guys are really famous. When you have really famous people, especially athletes, everyone from the radio station will come down and gather outside the studio. They're all going to pretend like they just happen to be walking by the studio when the big celebrity walks, all right? Because they all want to say, oh my God, hi, can I get a picture? And it's not really encouraged in radio or media settings, but it happens. And most of the time, someone with the celebrity would say to one of our producers, because they'll be watching the interview in the booth, they'd say to one of the producers, can you get these people out of here when we leave? Can you get them out of here? And the producer will then have to go in the hallway and talk to the promotions person and say, get the fuck out of here. And the salespeople and go, would you be making everybody nervous? Get out of here. That's very common. Greg Biffle never did that. Greg Biffle was the guy that took pictures with everybody. Fucking, it doesn't matter. From the lowest intern to the general manager of the station. I don't know. And then when we found out what happened last night or yesterday during the middle of the show, I got to tell you, I was a little bit taken aback. I had a whole bunch of emotions. I got a little weepy last night when I was really getting into the stories and learning about, well, we'll get into all of it. Anyway, Greg Biffle was a great dude. He wasn't a friend. I wouldn't call him a friend. I mean, I work in media, and he was a guy that I was lucky enough to be able to sit with many times. So yesterday we went to dinner together. I mean, he even picked up the tab. That's the other thing. Usually when you take people out to dinner and stuff like that, you, the media person, will take out the tab, right? Or if you're smart, the way we used to do it, you have your producer call the restaurant and say, Pugs is showing up with NASCAR icon Greg Biffle. Can you help us out? We'll talk about it tomorrow. And the restaurant goes, everything will be free. That's how you try and do it. Doesn't always work. All right, so we'll talk about Biffle. Hey, we're gonna talk about something that is kind of interesting for this show, because this is perfect for this show. We talked about people on the right, people on the left. Most of us are in the middle. This is one of those issues that has people divided, and I'm like, no, we shouldn't be divided. President Trump has announced the Patriot Games are coming to America. So we'll get into the Patriot Games. He's doing other silly stuff. We'll talk about that. I mentioned at the top that my whole bit, my whole thing, my whole style is suddenly being hijacked by someone with a lot more stroke than me, which means it's his now. It's just his now. And I don't like it. Yeah, we'll talk about how Tucker Carlson is stealing my whole bit. Stealing my whole bit. It's crazy. What else, man? We got a whole bunch of stuff. We'll do Kelly's picks. We'll finish those up. And tonight we got a big fight, and I want to talk about it because I am a fan of throwing hands. We're going to talk about the Jake Paul fight. That's right. I'll tell you why you should tune in tonight on Netflix for Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. You need to tune in for this, and I'll tell you why. All right, all that and more. Let me say hi to the chat room. Who was the first person in the chat room today? Let me see. By my count, I can go back. I can see this in reward. Taronda. Of course it's Taronda. God love her. Or him. I don't know. Yeah, I shouldn't be that way. Just a chat room name. Yeah, Ed, let's get Tucker on as a guest. Our boy Ed in the chat room. Our boy. Shouldn't refer to the boss as our boy, but you get it. It's familial. Okay, hold on. So thank you, Taronda, for being the very first person in the chat room today. We've got Maddie in the chat room. Good to see Maddie back again. We've got Barnesy. Hiya, Barney. We got Adam. Hold on. I can't. I have difficulty navigating this. Fast is here. And then Adam and then Hope. Is that as far as I can go? I think that's about as far as I can go. Oh, guys. All right. So before we get started here today, in earnest, I have to tell you that I am a jumble of nerves. Why? Because I'm a guy and I'm a stupid sports guy, and it's Packer week here in Chicago. And I've told you guys all week long, I'm going to try and pretend like it's not the only thing I want to talk about, but I can't do that. Understanding that, you people don't give a shit, and you shouldn't, unless you're like a really big football fan or for some weird reason an NFC North fetishist, and you're just into it. But it's a big game, and my mind is preoccupied with all kinds of things. So I'm going to try and stay dialed in. Hi, well, look at this. We got Sam the Mailman here. Sam the Mailman, I yelled at you yesterday. I yelled at you. I don't know if you were listening when I yelled at you, but you and Adam Reyna are the same person. Hold on. We got some breaking news. Oh, geez. Hold on. I think we got some breaking news and we need to stop being silly. 13, 12, 17. Okay. A little bit of breaking news here. We don't really have much, but I'm going to need my chat room producers. That would be, of course, the lovely April and now Maddie. That's right. I'm going to need my producers via text or, you know what? I don't think April has my phone number. April, do you have my phone number? I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to need you guys to monitor this. We've got breaking news, active shooter alerts on Luke Air Force Base. Shelter-in-place orders are ongoing. Luke Air Force Base in Arizona has confirmed that it is dealing with the reported incident on the installation. Okay. A major U.S. Air Force base, this is breaking right now. A major U.S. Air Force base has been plunged into lockdown after a reported active shooter incident. Personnel have been ordered to shelter in place as authorities race to respond. This is crazy. Hold on, I'll tell you why. Can we do this? I think we do have a built-in breaking news caption, don't we? We should put that up. Of course we don't. No, of course we don't. That would be something that I would use. Restream puts a bunch of little static things in my captions, like be right back and thanks for listening or whatever it says. But they don't have breaking news. Here we go. We're going to spend a couple minutes. We're going to follow this, okay? All right? We're going to see what this is. And you know why? Because if it's happening right now, I don't have any alerts going off on or do I? No, the only police alert that I have right now is in New Hampshire, which is probably related to the Brown shooting. And we'll get into all of that stuff that we found out yesterday. Okay, again, we have breaking news right now about an active shooter being reported in Arizona at Luke Air Force Base. Personnel on base have been directed to shelter in place and follow guidance from first responders. The base said law enforcement and emergency personnel are actively responding to the post. The safety of our airmen, families, and community is our top priority. Officials urge members of the public to stay away from the area. The base did not immediately release further information about the threat. More to follow, developing, ... Okay, so there we go. So we're going to follow this story. Indulge me, guys. Let me just... Oop, hold on. What just happened there? That was weird. Hold on. I think I just lost everything. So here's why you all need to indulge me on this one, okay? Because this happened once before during our stream. We got a report right at the top of the show. I got a breaking news alert that there was a shooting somewhere in South Texas, and I believe the town was Uvalde, and we started following it. And then, if you remember, They told us it was nothing. We were listening to the scanner traffic, and they reported that it was a car accident and blah, 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 and they pulled everybody back. So at that point during the live stream, we all decided, we're like, yeah, I mean, I guess that's nothing. Okay, thank God. Thank God. Just happened in front of Robb Elementary School. It wasn't actually at the elementary school. So we did a 2-hour normal show. And then we end the show, and I go and I sit down and I make me lunch and I put on CNN, and they're like, breaking news. 30 children have been brought to a San Antonio. And I'm like, wait, what? So we bailed off that story early. And I really always regretted that. I'm like, man, we were there. We were watching that. All right, let's see here. What do we have? This comes from Qatar News. Personnel were told to shelter in place while law enforcement and emergency personnel were actively responding. So far, there is no evidence that any shots have been fired. There is no evidence of any active shooter being present. Luke Air Force Base remains on lockdown while we continue to clear buildings out of an abundance of caution. All right, that is the latest. Thank you to Maddie, producer Maddie, with that one. See, now we're at the point. We read that and we go, let's just go on and do a normal show. And then we find out that, oh no. Why? Because the fog of war, right? The fog of chaos. Every time the dangers of following these breaking news stories is that everything that you hear in the first 5 to 10 minutes will probably be proven false. And that's weird because the first thing you hear following these stories in the first 5 to 10 minutes is police traffic or first responder traffic. So yeah, just because you hear it on the scanner, and this was a hard lesson I had to learn, just because you hear it on the scanner does not mean it's true. You'd like to think that the police and the firemen or whoever it is that you're listening to early on in these stories, and when I say early on, I mean like a good 45 minutes before CNN knows it's happening. That's independent news collection. That is the advantage that we have. We can break it quicker. As we like to say, we here doing this kind of streaming information stuff, we're a jet ski. CNN, Fox News, they're a fucking battleship. They're an oil tanker, right? I think that's the analogy. I think that's the metaphor, right? That it's easy. It's easier to turn a jet ski than an oil tanker. So we can turn on a dime and cover whatever we need. Frank, I need your phone number, Pugs. Did I open a can of worms? I don't know. All right, before we get flowing here into the show, and we're going to be monitoring the situation at Luke Air Force Base in Arizona very closely, I do want to say, tip the show, please. This show runs on your gratuities for 4 years. If you appreciate this kind of nonpartisan, everyday talk radio, please ensure that we can keep going in January by dropping a little something there. We need to get stacking the funds again the way we used to. We are definitely behind the 8 ball, and it doesn't help that we're in a shitty economy and that it's Christmas time. But anything that you can do at all, please drop it in there. And the person who tips the best on the day prior gets to be the executive producer of the show. We like to say that the show is brought to us by. Who is today's show brought to us by? Today's show is brought nobody. Fucking nobody. It's okay. It's okay. And I wouldn't be upset if all of you forwarded the show and liked the show and all that, but you didn't. You didn't all do it. Like 3 of you did. 3 of you who are the best people on the planet. I'm telling you right now. So help us out. Make sure that we've got a show to do on Monday. Oh, we're totally doing the show on Monday. Don't worry, even if you don't tip today. But let's have a sponsor for Monday, right? Let's have somebody that's going to have brought the show to us on Monday. And again, if you can't do that because the current economy and because of Christmas, I totally get that. Help out the show in other ways. Forward, like, comment, share, all of that stuff. It helps the algorithm and it builds the show. We're going to be really fucking Nazi-like about that shit coming up in 2025. I promise you that. Because I am learning by the day new things that we need to do. Should we get started? Maybe we should just get started with the show. Well, let me do one more. Let me do one quick little Twitter. Twitter's always a good place for when stories first start breaking. Hold on. Let's go to Twitter and let's check Luke Air Force Base. Let's see what's happening on Luke Air Force Base Twitter. Okay, here we go. All right. Luke Air. Is it? Okay, I don't want that. Force Base. All right, let's see. We'll go to the latest here. Let's see what they're saying about Luke Air Force Base right now. 16 seconds ago, the reported active shooter incident at Luke Air Force Base, though thankfully unfounded, highlights the critical need. Unfounded? Are we going unfounded? That would be great, because I love the unfounded and false active shooter reports. Get you excited, and then nobody has to die. It says here, red alert, active shooter at Luke. Okay, so that's 1 minute ago. This was put out by Luke Air Force Base 19 minutes ago. Okay. So 19 minutes ago, Luke Air Force Base said, Luke Air Force Base has responded to a reported active shooter incident on the installation. But then a couple of seconds ago, you got some guy going, that was unfounded. Now, we don't take that as gospel, right? Because we don't know who the fuck, who is it? Who is there? I don't know. What was his name? I don't know. I can't find the guy now. I can't find the guy that said that it was unfounded. But we don't go with that because he's just a dude. We can go with just dudes if suddenly there's like 20 just dudes going, yeah. I mean, then you're like, okay, so this might be true. Can't imagine these people all know each other and are saying the same thing. It does look like the Luke Air Force Base situation is okay. I'm seeing multiple sources now. All clear. All right, very good. Jesus, but this is what we did with Uvalde. You know, they shoot us all away while they completely screwed up that situation by, like, you know, what were they doing in Uvalde? Like, what were the cops doing? Were they just like, if we don't do nothing, maybe it'll stop? What is that what they were thinking? Oh my goodness. Frankie's got some personal history there with Luke Air Force Base. Frankie says, my grandfather was there at Luke Air Force Base. My grandfather was at Luke Air Force Base with the Army Air Force on December 7th, 1941. Look at that. Don't know what. I do know what that date is. I was like, what date is that? And I'm like, oh, that's a date that will live in infamy, right? Wait. December 7th. Yeah, that's a date that'll live in infamy. That's Pearl Harbor. When was, what's the other date? What's the D-Day invasion? I think that's in June or something. All right, whatever. Hey, I'm not an expert. I'm not super smart. All right, thank you, Frankie, and thank your grandfather for his service on that trying of all days. What a difficult day to be an American service member. Let's see. What do we want to do first here? All right. Let's get started here with all the things people are talking about. Guess what? Today is Epstein Day. Epstein Day. They made a law. That said today we get to know the Epstein stuff. Fuck that. There's no Epstein files. What have I been telling you guys? This is all a construct. Did they make a law? Oh, did they slow roll the signing in or the swearing in of an Arizona congressperson in a what do they call those kinds of elections? A fill a seat election. Did they slow roll that through the government shutdown so that she couldn't be signed in, so that she couldn't sign on to that all-important document in our Congress, the one that would compel the Justice Department to release all the Epstein files? Remember how important that document was? That document is bullshit because everything's a construct. If somebody with power just goes, yeah, no. The Epstein files are not going to be released today. We're going to get drips and drabs of bullshit. It was over a month ago that the United States Congress, after repeated roadblocks being thrown up by the Justice Department and the White House, that Congress was compelled, and many across party lines, this was a very bipartisan vote. Congress came together bipartisanly representing us. Okay? The Justice Department doesn't represent us, not in theory and not in. They're the Justice Department. The White House is supposed to represent us, but we can't give free jumbo jets. So, the White House isn't representing us either. Congress is supposed to. The upper and the lower chamber, they're supposed to get together and they're supposed to truly do our bidding in the face of these billionaire corrupt scoundrels. So they forced the issue and they made sure that Congress said, well, checks and balances be what they are. We are the Congress of the United States of America, and we are going to create this new law. That law is going to be signed by the Senate. And you, sir, and all of your corrupt Epstein buddies, you will finally be outed. And they passed that law, and we all celebrated. We're like, yeah! Ha ha! We win! Well, today's the deadline. And they're like, yeah, no. But, rule of law. But, come on, folks. Nothing is real. Nothing is real if someone decides it's not. It's a construct. It's a piece of fucking paper. Laws are bullshit. So here's what's happening. They're going to give us drips and drabs. And what's this guy's name? Todd. This guy Todd, man. This guy Todd is like taking the fall for every. Todd Blanche. Is this guy? Todd Blanche. He's one of these. He's not a celebrity, although he's becoming more and more famous. He's like an assistant deputy to the director of whatever. He's under Bondi. He's under Pam Bondi, and he seems to be the one that actually does the work. He seems to be the one that actually, has to read all the case files and all that, because Pam Bondi is at Pilates and getting her hair done, okay? So it does seem like this Todd Blanche fella is doing all the fucking Justice Department shit because, well, he's name-checked in this as the reason why we're not going to get the Epstein files. Todd Blanche is also the guy, if you remember, he had that wonderful afternoon tea with Ghislaine Maxwell a couple of months back where he said, I remember that she was already in jail. She was already prosecuted. She was already convicted of these crimes. And then instead of just, releasing all of the information associated with that, Todd Blanche went, wait, we haven't even talked to her. And we're like, wait, what? You guys have had Ghislaine Maxwell in jail forever? She's been tried at the federal level and convicted? You should have talked to her. You convicted her without even talking to her. And now here we are after the fact. And the White House is like, hold on. We got to talk to Ghislaine. And they go and they talk to her. And of course, lo and behold, she signs a document that says President Trump didn't do anything ever to anybody. He's the best. Signed Ghislaine Maxwell. And then they released that. Like, we're all going to go, okay. And then like a week later, Ghislaine Maxwell is at Club Fed. She's a global sex trafficker. And they decided, let's just put her in with some accountant who put a decimal point in the wrong place. Let's do that. Let's move her from the actual fucking maximum security women's prison where international sex traffickers should be. Let's send her to a place where she can play tennis year round. Now, do you think that's related to her signing the document that Todd Blanche presented to her that said, the president didn't do anything? You think it's related? I don't know. I'm just saying. So Todd Blanche, that's the first time we really got to know this guy. He's back in the news. He's the guy saying we ain't getting them all. Here's the deal. The law was passed 30 days ago. Today's the deadline. Today is the deadline to release all files associated with the Epstein investigation and trial. Today's the deadline. They are in violation of the law for not releasing everything today. If there's one fucking sentence that is left on a server somewhere that doesn't get released, they are in violation of the law as was signed into law 30 days ago after much consternation. Months. So Todd Blanche is saying today regarding the Epstein files, Yeah, there's a lot of it, man. I mean, we've got to slowly release this stuff just because there's so much stuff. So we're going to give you some stuff today. And then, over the course of the next few weeks, 2 weeks. Oh, is it 2 weeks again? Are we back to doing the 2-week game? This administration loves the 2 weeks. About 2 weeks it'll take for them to release everything. So that is what Todd Blanche said today. That is why the Epstein files are now being delayed, the full release. Now, remember, today is not the day they were supposed to start releasing documents. Today is the end day. It was passed a month ago. This fucking clown, Todd Blanche, is up here going, well, there's just so much. It'll take 2 weeks to release it all. Then why didn't you release it 2 weeks ago? Why didn't you start releasing? Are you that incompetent? See, here's the thing. Either this administration in the Justice Department is fucking more incompetent than anyone had ever thought, that they're just these kinds of people that they're like, well, the deadline is Friday. The deadline is Friday. And then what, last night at like 2 a.m, are they going through this stuff going, we can't release it all. It's too much. The fuck? So are they incompetent? Or are they the other thing? Are they just trying to cover up to protect fucking pedophiles? What are they doing? Personally, I think it's a mixture of the both. I think it's a little bit of both. As the deadline for releasing the Epstein files has arrived and passed, the Trump administration has effectively signaled what many observers already suspected. The records are not coming at once. Instead, officials say the documents will be released on a rolling basis over the next 2 weeks. Even though a law, 2 weeks, just can we stop it? Even though a law signed by President Donald Trump called for their full release by a specific date. That date is today. It's the law. They're in violation of the law. Because it's so much work, you guys. Well, maybe if Elon hadn't fired all the fucking people who know about the filing system and all that, it wouldn't take so long. Yeah, if it's Todd Blanche and Pam Biondi, if they're it's probably a lot of work for those two clowns. As the deadline for releasing the Epstein files has arrived and passed, the Trump administration has effectively signaled what many observers already suspected, that the records are not coming at once. Instead, officials say the documents will be released on a rolling basis over the next 2 weeks, even though a law signed by President Donald Trump called for their full release by a specific date. Legally, that may not amount to much. The statute does not include a penalty for missing the deadline. So for breaking the law, there's no penalty. That was baked in, I guess, to the way they wrote it. Here's the deadline. If you don't, you'll be in violation of the law. What's the penalty for that? Nothing. I mean, what are these people doing to us? What are they doing? None of us knew that. When this thing was being passed, we're like, yay, we're going to get to see it. None of us knew that there was, no penalty for not doing it. This is law. You have to release this now. What if we don't? Nothing. I mean, come on. Fuck. They're playing with us. And so many of you who know you're being played with, but your ego is tied to defending and apologizing for these people at every turn. So you're being played with, but you're going, but no, this kind of makes sense. No. And then you hit the fucking socials and you're like, this is a great day for us. Oh, God. You're being screwed. You're being screwed, man. As long as this man is the president of the United States, we're not getting any of this shit because it's all his friends. All his friends. It's all his friends who, over the last couple of months have been like, if you can keep me out of the Epstein files, I'll give $200 million to the new Trump fund or whatever. That's what he's doing. No, they can't do that. God damn, man. The fucking hen house is being raided before all of our eyes, and you people are like, drain the swamp. It's absurd. It's hysterical. Fuck no Epstein. Of course, no Epstein. Can't even be upset about that. All right, let's move now to the big news story from last night that I thought, I'd like to thank the police in that part of the world for not dragging this thing out. I was prepared to miss the entire Thursday night football game between the Los Angeles Rams and the Seattle Seahawks last night, because just as that game was starting, there was a huge police situation in Salem, New Hampshire. Let me tell you something. Salem, you know about Salem, the witches and stuff, right? Ooh, Salem witches, the witch trials, very famous in American history. Until last night, I thought Salem was in Massachusetts. I thought it was Salem, Massachusetts. I didn't know it was Salem, New Hampshire. Although they are right on the border. Like, is there two? Is it like a Kansas City situation where there's a Kansas City, Missouri and a Kansas City, Kansas? Because they were absolutely in Salem, New Hampshire last night surrounding a U-Store-It facility. I don't know if it's a U-Store, maybe it's a U. I don't know. It's one of those big, giant storage facilities where divorced men put their entire lives while they try to figure out what to do next. Everything that was in their man cave and in the garage now goes into the U-Store-It while they live in a one-bedroom economy somewhere off the freeway. So the police had suddenly surrounded this storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire yesterday. And it started breaking. It started popping off on the scanners. Beep, 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 and I'm like, ooh, something's going on. And, I've been following this story. So I know that this is in the relative area of where the manhunt is going on for the Boston or the Brown University shooter. So I'm like, this is it. Here we go. And wow. I mean, I'll tell you, I was watching it. Here's what you should do. This is a fun thing. And here's a little tip if you're like a news junkie. Okay, so if something big happens somewhere in America, like let's say it happens in, give me a random place, Reno, Nevada. Let's say Reno, Nevada has something terrible happen. You do not have to rely on people like Steve Lookner, who I love. Steve Lookner at Agenda Free TV. You should follow him on YouTube. He does the best live breaking news. But again, okay, so let's pretend something happens in Reno. You don't have to rely on people like that. You don't have to rely on CNN, Fox News, or whatever else. You know what the best resource for these things are? Just go to YouTube. When you hear, oh my God, this big news story is happening in Reno, Nevada, go to YouTube and then just YouTube search Reno, Nevada local news. And there it'll pop up. You'll get live streams from all of the local news stations where the event is actually happening. And why is that important? Because those are the people who are there. They're literally on the scene. They've got the live video. They're showing you all the first information that is going to come out of anything is going to come out through the local reporters, because it isn't the CNN guy who gets choppered in who has weekly lunch with the police chief, right? It's the boots on the ground guy. So that's a little trick that I was doing. I was watching great coverage of the stand-up yesterday, some Boston news station. It was the ABC affiliate in Boston, BVN or something like that. I don't know. But there's a tip for you. So if anything big, and you're watching, why isn't CNN covering or whatever? Just all the time. If there's a major news story happening anywhere and there is a local news station, they'll stream it live. They'll start, because they know that they'll get big streaming numbers. Little hack if you're a news junkie. So that's what I was watching. I was watching local Boston news coverage from this incident that was happening in Salem, New Hampshire, which, like we talked about yesterday, where I'm here in Chicago, we have what we call the tri-state area, which is Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin. And Chicago is at the center of the tri-state area, and branching out from Chicago are all the suburbs. Many of the suburbs of Chicago are in Northwest Indiana. Some are in southern Wisconsin. So that's why we call it the tri-state area. The East Coast is even more fucked up. Like Salem, New Hampshire, where I'm watching this, is like 10 miles from downtown Boston. I'm like, what? I don't know if it's that close, but it's all so close up there. So you had covering this story and police departments involved. You had people from Massachusetts, you had people from New Hampshire, you had people from Rhode Island, you had people from, I don't know where. I mean, it was all over. It was really, really heavily covered. And because this guy kept crossing state lines, the Brown University shooter we're talking about, because this guy kept crossing state lines, different police organizations had to get involved. It was pretty messy. And that's a unique kind of thing that happens up there on the East Coast where, wait, where did this happen? What state is this? Why are we hearing from the state police of Rhode Island? I thought they were in New Hampshire. Why are we hearing from the attorney general in Boston? I thought this all happened in Rhode Island. Anyway, pretty interesting how this story developed. So that was the situation. There was this, the standoff. It turned out to be all about the guy, all about the shooter. And again, thank you to the police for not ruining my football watching, because I was prepared to watch the standoff all night long. I thought it was another Boston Marathon thing. I thought it was another Joe Karjainayev hiding in the boat in the person's backyard deal, where I was going to be like, they're shooting at him now. No, that never came to pass. After about an hour and a half, slowly the local reporters, and yes, it was broken first at the local level, because remember, I'm watching the local Boston feed on YouTube. They just out of nowhere said, we're getting breaking news. We are hearing now, we are confirming from multiple sources to the BCN newsroom that the suspect is dead. The suspect has been found. I mean, that was happening on local Boston TV a good 25 minutes before, CNN had it. And CNN was covering it live too. They were just way behind. CNN, you'll notice, will cite as sources the local stuff. So anyway, felt a little bit ahead of it on that. He was dead. It turns out he was the Brown University shooter. But crazy as crazy goes, he's also the MIT shooter. Yeah, man. So this is the problem with the times that we live in, okay? Saturday afternoon, we had this terrible thing happen on the campus of Brown University there in Providence, Rhode Island. 9 people were shot. 9? Or is it 12? I don't know. I should know that number. 2 people died. That's what we know. 2 students were killed at Brown University on Saturday afternoon. The shooter was in the wind for 6 days. 6 days he was out there, and nobody knew where he was. 3 days after the shooting on the campus of Brown University, and 2 days actually, Monday night, it was Monday night, a professor at MIT was shot and killed in his home. MIT. Not too far from Brown University. As I explained earlier, everything in that part of the world is just crammed together. And it's like, man, that's weird. This is the second strange. By the way, it's also weird that MIT suddenly gets itself attached to the Brown University shooting. MIT also attached itself to the Boston Marathon bombing. Remember, it was the MIT cop who got killed that sparked the actual chase of Dzhokhar and Tamerlan Tsarnaev. Anyway, that's interesting. So when this happened on Monday, everybody, I didn't even talk about this story on Tuesday. I had it in my notes. I'm like, should I mention the MIT professor? And I'm like, nah, let's stay focused on the Brown University thing. So I skipped over it on Tuesday when we did the show. But because of the times we live in, I'll tell you my immediate thought on Monday night when I heard about the MIT professor being shot, I went, I wonder if it's related. Oh, really? That's weird. MIT and Brown, 2 elite universities. And then I'm like, well, the shooter at Brown busted into the classroom while a guy was, giving a lecture, or there was something going on. Maybe the teacher or the professor at Brown was the target. Because now 2 days later at MIT, another elite East Coast university, 2 days later at MIT, a professor is killed. I'm like, huh. But because of these fucked up times that we live in, I think me and a whole lot of people just went, nah, I'm not doing the conspiracy theory thing. I am not doing the conspiracy. And we missed it. They were obviously related. And now it's like, yeah, they were obviously related. Well, why didn't we just think of that from the beginning? But none of us were saying that publicly. But I do think that a lot of us thought that. And I think that because of the crazy times, because of all you fucking weirdos out there, not you, I'm not talking to you people. I'm talking to all the other fucking weirdos that aren't watching. Because of all you people, we don't trust our instincts anymore. They're wild. All right, so here's the deal. It turns out the shooter, 48-year-old piece of shit. He's a Portuguese national, which I felt, it was this morning. I'm so stupid. I don't know why, but this is a thing that's been going on with me my entire life, okay? I don't know where Portugal is. I don't know. I think it's in South America. I'm like, isn't Portugal in South? I think, but I know it's not. I know it's like attached. I know it's like a growth attached to Spain. But for some reason, whenever I think of Portugal, I'm like, oh, here we go. So for until I woke up this morning and actually started putting the show together. I went to bed last night going, yeah, here we go. It's another guy from, those fentanyl country. I'm like, because Portugal is obviously in Central America. It's right next to Nicaragua, right? No idea. And then I woke up and I'm like, oh, wait, I can't rant on that because that's not true. That just made me sound stupid. And I say enough organically to make myself sound stupid, so I don't need that. But yeah, I did. And it doesn't really change. Here's what I do want to say about this guy. And I don't know what his name is. His name's out there. I don't give a shit to learn his name. It's like Manuel Ortega de Balada. It's like some fucking fancy fucking word. It's, what his name isn't? His name isn't Robert Johnson. It's one of those names. It's one of those names. Shit, I was wrong. I mean, again, all I had to go on was the security camera that we saw, and he was wearing like a mask. So I'm like, that's a white guy. That's a middle-aged white guy. That's what I thought. I thought he was just a middle-aged white guy who just, lost his nut and went, I want to kill smart people. I don't know. I did not know. But I did peg him as a white guy. I clocked him as a white guy. And now we hear that he's like Portuguese. And is a Portuguese a white guy? Or is that like, I don't know. Is he a European Mexican? Is that what Portugal is? Is Portugal or Spain like Europe's Mexico? But see, we give Spain more, like we don't think of Spain and Mexico as the same thing. And I don't think people who are Spanish think of it as the same thing too. Like I had a friend I went to college with. His parents were from Spain, Madrid. He was the only person back in the 1980s who was running around in Spanish soccer uniforms. His parents were from Madrid, and we used to tease him. We used to call him a Mexican. He used to get mad. I am not a Mexican. We are different. We are European. We are cultured. I'm like, oh, really? I've also noticed that with Cubans. Cubans do not like to be called Mexicans by Americans. And I get it. As an Irishman, I wouldn't appreciate people going, what are you, Scottish? I'd be like, fuck you. What? Scottish? Please. But anyway, this guy's from Portugal. I don't know how that lines up with, the argument that we need to never let anybody that wasn't born here in the country again, that some people have. I don't know how that lines up with it. Is that a shithole country? His name, he's got a shithole name. When people who are all going to turn this into this is why we shouldn't allow people from elsewhere to come here. That those people, all they need is the name. The name is like Miguel Vargas. It's like that. It's not Bob Johnson. So that's going to give them, see what happens? That was one of my thoughts last night, and it still remains one of my thoughts because ultimately he is somebody who was from somewhere else here in this country on a visa program that, by the way, has been canceled. Mention that in a minute. But I did in the minute. I thought, here you go. This is a win for Trump. This is a win. This is what he wanted. This is what that whole side of the country wanted. They wanted this guy to be one of them. One of those people. They didn't want it to be Bob Johnson from Tulsa. No, that was, although they would have totally ignored that anyway. They would have completely moved on from the story if it was Bob Johnson from Tulsa. vice chairman of the Tulsa County Republic. No, they wouldn't have moved. They would have hated the story if that was the case. But it's not. It's a guy with a Mexican sounding name. He's from Portugal. Same thing. I don't disagree. So yeah, bit of a win for that crowd. And it's indisputable. It is indisputable. This is one of those examples. Dude came in to this country. We gave him the visa because he seems special. You know, he was smart. Came in on one of those smart people. Apparently, he attended Brown. He attended Brown like 25 years ago. We let him in. And yeah, it took him like 30 years. I mean, you know, he's been here like 30 years. But still, how he originally got it. So it's a win. It's a win for that side. It's a win for that argument that these people do these things. These people with names that aren't like Bob Johnson. But yeah, okay. So and now we see the guy here. Let's look at some pictures of him. I guess we'll get to his name and stuff too. I mean, I still maintain he's a white guy. I'm still, you know, I don't know. He looks like a white guy. Here, let's show some pictures. Get some good pictures. Oh, here he is. You know who he kind of looks like, at least in this picture? He looks like a very funny actor by the name of Tony Hale. I don't know if you know who Tony Hale is, but okay, not that one. I got too many windows open, bro. Hold on. There we go. Is this it? Yeah. All right, here he is. Doesn't he kind of look like Tony Hale? I don't know if you guys watch Veep or Arrested Development. He's Buster on Arrested Development. He looks like Buster. All right. There's a lot of weird stuff about this. So, okay. So let's leave that picture there. Oh, no. Maybe there's some other pictures. What is this? Suspect. Okay. That's the used store place. All right, this is a picture. They finally got some good ones. By the way, don't know what rental car company this is, but I'd like to say thank you to this rental car company for having security cameras that look like they weren't built in 1973. This is pretty good resolution. I got to be honest. Not sure he looks so American right here. Yeah, I think he looks like one of them people from somewhere else right here. But, you know, in the ring cameras that we saw of him walking, meandering, as I described, up and down the neighborhood, he looked like a white guy. Does not look like a white guy here on the rental car. He looks like, you know. Any other pictures? Do we have any pictures? No more pictures. Okay. All right, so let's just settle on that. And then I'll tell you the story of how this whole thing unfolded. Okay. Do we have his name? Claudio Manuel Nieves Valente. Yeah, that's I mean, look at his name. I mean, his name says it all. And they're not wrong. You got to just take it in this instance. You got to be like, yeah, he fucked it up for a lot of people by being a dick and murdering these. What an asshole. Yeah, no, I mean, look. Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, a 48-year-old Portuguese national and one-time Brown physics student, was found dead in a New Hampshire storage facility. That happened yesterday. The suspect in the weekend shooting in Brown University and the fatal shooting of an MIT professor days later is dead. It was also the Boston news station who first linked that publicly. And I watched it happen on Twitter. As soon as I think WBVN or something, whatever the Boston ABC affiliate, as soon as they on the air said, our sources are now telling us that this is related to the MIT shooting. And then the other person on the desk said, oh, I thought this was the boss. Is this because there was confusion? And then the anchor said, no, we are hearing now for the first time that the Brown University shooting and the MIT shooting are linked. I was like, wow. And then like instantly, because I got my laptop up, I'm watching, and then instantly on Twitter, people started posting that because I had the what was it? Brown shooting thread open. And so anyway, Claudio Manuel Nieves, 48, appears to have died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound was found dead in a storage facility in New Hampshire. He was found after a 5-day search. 5 days. We're going to go 5 days. Yesterday was day 6. They caught him in day. Well, what they didn't start looking for him until day 2. Is that how we come? Is that how this math works? 5 days. 5 days. Interestingly enough, 5 days is how long it took to catch Luigi Mangione after he shot the United Healthcare worker guy. 5 days is how long it took to catch and end the Boston Marathon manhunt. It was 5 days. It was day 4 where they caught Tamerlan. They didn't catch Tamerlan. They ran Tamerlan over with a car after Tamerlan Tsarnaev was running Rambo style at a police vehicle with a crockpot bomb in his hands. He threw the crockpot bomb at the police car. It bounced off the windshield, blasted into flames on the street, and the cop hit the gas and ran fucking Tamerlan right over. There's video out there. If you have never seen, oh God, what a night that was. If you have never seen the Charlestown capture and then, chase of Joe Carr, the Boston. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And I watched it live. It was amazing. So I thought that's what we were going to get last night. We didn't really get that, but that's okay because there was a football game I really wanted to watch and I didn't really need a whole bunch of big news happening when I wanted to focus on a battle for the number 1 seed in the NFC. Nieves Valente is also suspected in the killing of Nuno Lauriero, a Massachusetts Institute of... How about that? How about me with the proper pronunciation on first glance? First time I saw that dude. Well, I've seen his name, but I never tried to pronounce it before. Nuno Lauriero, a Massachusetts Institute of Technology professor at his home Monday night. He was killed. Officials said it appeared the 2 men had attended the same university in Portugal. The suspect had no current affiliation with the university, but was enrolled at Brown from the fall of 2000 to the spring of 2001 in a PhD program. He hasn't been a student at Brown in 24 years. Wild. Homeland Security Director Kristi Noem said she is directing a pause in a diversity immigrant visa program after it was revealed that the suspect had entered the U.S. through it. They wasted no time. Minutes after the press conference last night in Providence, Rhode Island revealed that this guy was here on a visa. Minutes! It's when it was announced Trump just ended the visa program. People were like, oh, what? That is so thoughtful. Or it's expedient. Or you people saying that it should take longer are just conditioned to expect bullshit from a bureaucracy. Red tape, everything takes weeks. No. President's like, yeah, fuck it. It's gone. I don't know that it necessarily needed to be done, but you certainly can't argue with the motivation after, Claudio Manuel Nieves Valente, who's in this country on one of these visas 25 years ago. Oh, I think, I don't want to go into that. I was going to say something changed in this guy's status. He came into this country on one of these visas back in 1999, apparently to attend classes at Brown University. And then at some point, his status changed. And I don't know if he became a naturalized citizen or something else. He was no longer associated with that visa program. And he became something else. And that was in Trump's first administration. So it was Trump's people who, took a look at his thing and said, you can stay. More on that, I'm sure, developing ... But anyway, the visa program that was canceled last night wasn't necessarily how he was in the country currently. It was just how he got here 25 years ago. And I believe he left and went back to Portugal, and that's when he supposedly attended No, I'm sorry, it was earlier. Again, there are so many moving parts in this story, I don't want to. But whatever, there was apparently a connection between Claudio Manuel Nieves Valente and Nuno Lauriero. Apparently they went to college together, were in the same physics program at some college in Portugal. So there's a connection. I'm sure we'll find out more. There's a girl involved. I bet there's a girl involved. probably a girl involved, or this guy, Nuno Laureiro, who was a classmate in the same program, the same physics program, classmate of Claudio Manuel Neves Valente. Nuno Laureiro went on to go do great things. Nuno Laureiro was, as I described yesterday, he was the head of a department at MIT. At 48 years old, no less. First of all, MIT. If you're the head of any department at MIT, it's a little better than being head of the department at Southwest Utah State Tech. Okay? It's MI-fucking-T. He's also one of, and I tried to look this up yesterday because I said it on the air when we were talking about it, but he's so good at the one thing that he does. He's one of two people in the world who knows something. Like he knows some formula or he created some whatever. He's intellectually speaking, and in the world of science, this guy Nuno Laureiro was one of one. He was. So that's why I guess maybe they didn't think that initially they were related, because this guy Nuno Laureiro, because of his special skill set, he could be a target of any number of things. It could be international, it could be whatever. Neves Valente is suspected of killing Nuno Laureiro, a Massachusetts Institute of Technology professor, at his Boston area home Monday night. Officials said it appeared the two men had attended the same university in Portugal. The suspect had no current affiliation with the university, but was enrolled at Brown in the fall of 2000. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said that she's directing a pause in the diversity immigration visa after it was revealed that the suspect had entered the United States through it. Let's see here. Do we have any new information? No. Okay, there you go. So that's the big crazy. But now let's move on to another aspect of this story, which I got to tell you, we are celebrating what is it? How many days till Christmas? Was it like 4, 5, 6, 7? I don't know, whatever. We are celebrating the 6 days of Festivus, where my grievances will be aired loud and clear on every stream. Got a couple grievances today. Tucker Carlson's stealing my whole bit. And he's gonna own it now because he's Tucker Carlson and I'm just some guy who shakes a can for money on a stream every day for 4 years, and now Tucker Carlson is out there doing everything that I'm doing. We'll get to that later. I solved the Brown University case. I solved it, and because I'm fucking an old man shouting at clouds here, I will get no credit for it. All right, so here's what I mean by this. Apparently, the entire case came together. The breakthrough in the case was when police finally got in touch with another person who was seen also kind of meandering, I guess, around the neighborhood before and after the shooting. Do you remember when I told you about, I was watching this video, it was a compilation of all the FBI stuff, and there was this guy that the shooter apparently crosses paths with, and then the guy goes one way and the shooter goes another, but then suddenly the shooter stops and doubles back and looks back down the street where this other guy is, and it looks like aggression. It looks like he's thinking of doing something, and knowing that he is the shooter, because again, this is after the fact, we know he's the shooter. Knowing that he's the shooter, I thought, could that have been like the first victim? Like, did that guy survive by pure luck? Because the shooter was like, he's walking away too far. I'm not just going to put a bullet in his back. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait to walk into the classroom and then I'll have a bunch of prime targets. That's kind of what I thought I was looking at. And I was saying yesterday, I'm like, they need to talk to that guy. They found him and they're talked to him. And it turned out that guy had all kinds of crazy information that led the police to finally piece together that MIT was also related in this. Now, I don't know how that all happened. You'd have to talk to the guy. But dig this. This is the craziest thing. This other guy that he crossed paths with on the video, who led police to have the tip that broke the case wide open, that guy is a homeless former Brown student. He's a former student who is now homeless, who lives on the streets or lives on the campus around Brown University. Think about that. That's got to be mental illness, right? because a Brown student, my kid gets straight A's. My kid gets straight A's. I used to say he never got a B, but we've crossed that bridge. He's now getting B's. Anyway, my kid gets really good grades. I don't think my kid could get into Brown right now. To get into Brown University, you have to be legitimately brilliant. It is truly a high standard academic. Well, it's Ivy League. We know that. It's Princeton, it's Harvard, it's Yale. It's one of those schools. So imagine that. Imagine that you get into an Ivy League university, you're at Brown, and then like a couple of years later, you're a homeless guy? That's got to be mental illness. Because someone smart enough to get into Brown, you would think would be smart enough to at least get an assistant manager job at a car rental place or something. Not to bash anybody, but I was just thinking of a random job. I don't know. Wild. Anyway, I broke that open right here, screaming at clouds. I'm like, hey, why aren't they talking to that guy? I said it 2 days ago. You can go back and check the tape. And then it turns out that that's the guy that blew the case wide open. I would say all's well that ends well, but it isn't well because there are 2 families that are going to have 3 families. Forgot about the MIT professor. 3 families are going to have an absolutely shitty Christmas, but hey. At least we've got some closure to this horrible story from last weekend. 6 days. This one took 6 days. The other 2 that I mentioned, the big manhunts before Luigi Mangione and the Tsarnaev brothers, those were 5 days. This one took 6, but came to an end. Was he living in the used store place? That's right. Was he living in it? You ever been in one of those? So I currently have a used store place in Farmers Branch. And just before I moved up here, I rented it. And when I walked in there, they're not like they used to. Well, what did they used to be? They used to just be like sheds lined up. They were all outdoors, I used to manage rock bands in the 1990s. And we had 4 of those sheds. And in each of those sheds was another band that I was managing. And Friday nights at the storage facility was fun. Bring all your friends, all the doors are open, all the bands are practicing. Okay, these guys play a song. Okay, now these guys play a song. They didn't kick us out. It was cool. But now it was outdoors. It was outdoors. Now these things are giant structures and they're all air conditioned and heated. You could live in one of the, I guess people do. I guess people do live in these things, which is why I'm wondering, was this dude living in a shore guard? The one where my stuff is off McEwen Road. I think it's McEwen and is it Marsh or Midway? I don't know, whatever. It's Farmers Branch over there. The one it's like a city. You go inside this thing. It is all inside. The parking lot for the, if you need to rent a place, the parking lot is inside. And then you go up, there's east elevators and west elevators, and you can go up. It's massive. So this facility where this guy was holed up in last night while I'm watching this standoff is very similar to that. And I'm like, oh my God. Is that why there's like 300 police cars here? Are they going unit by unit looking for this fucking guy? Because this could take forever. Anyway, they did. They finally found him, and he was dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So burn in hell, you son of a bitch. And we can move on from this story and never talk about him again. What do we got? We got anything weird going on in the chat room? I'm looking, a lot of people talking. I like that. I like it when my chatters mix it up. Okay. Don't forget, folks, tip the show. That's right. I want to remind you one more time. Help this show continue to bring you the kind of talk radio you just can't hear anywhere else. Drop a little something in either the Venmo or the Cash App, and you'll go to heaven. There you go. You go to heaven. You tip the show right now today, you're going to heaven. That's a promise. I feel comfortable making that promise. It's all about belief anyway, so let's go. All right, so we did the Epstein, we did the Brown shooting. Greg Biffle, Greg Biffle was a wonderful guy. I'm blessed to have gotten to know him a little bit over the years. I haven't spoken to Greg Biffle in probably 15 years. He was a regular on our show. Last night, he and his family were flying from North Carolina. to a birthday party in Florida shortly after takeoff. It was a jet owned by Greg Biffle. Don't know if he was flying. Do we know if he was flying? I'll be honest with you. I got the basic story, and I got some of the more reportable factoids from the story, but I didn't really go all that deep because it's just so sad. I mean, there's so many great videos and tributes to this guy, and almost all of them are an example of him caring about other people. Do you know that the North Carolina Hurricane, do you know what this guy did? This freaking guy, Greg Biffle, the North Carolina hurricanes and floodings from a couple of years ago, or maybe it was just last year, I think. Greg Biffle did the whole Harrison Ford thing where he was rescuing people in his helicopter. He donated like 5 pallets of chainsaws free of charge for everybody to come and get a chainsaw so that they could try and dig out their homestead, so that they could try and cut through trees and clean shit up. I mean, Biffle was a good dude. And as I said at the beginning of the show, he was one of the guys, and there aren't many celebrities who do this. He was one of those guys who, after the interview, stuck around to make sure that he would take a picture with every girl from sales or every guy from, promotions, the accounting people. He was just a nice person. Just a nice person, not affected at all. Not, I'm a multi-millionaire NASCAR driver. I don't have time for this nonsense. No, he was a man of the people. He was a good dude. So he and his family and some friends of the family were flying down to Florida for a birthday party. Shortly after takeoff from North Carolina, there were issues with the plane, and the decision was made to return almost immediately to the airport. This, apparently, Greg Biffle's wife texted her mother while they were returning home and said, there's a problem with the plane. It looks like we're coming home. Probably just her saying, oh, this again, the jet set life, another problem with this plane. I mean, you know what I mean? She probably wasn't thinking there's a problem with the plane. We're going to die. I don't know. I haven't heard any more about that text. I just heard about that story. But it was then on the return that the plane crashed, and everybody passed away. NASCAR driver Greg Biffle's emotional last post with wife a week before they died in a fiery plane crash. That's a story we got here. Yeah, you know what? Here, let me just show you this, because, there's tributes. There's, there are more important NASCAR people. I got to get rid of all of these. I'm sorry. Hold on. There are more important NASCAR people who could probably do more interesting tributes to him. So let me just leave you with this. Let me just show you this. Oh, I know what's happening. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I've got a little bit of an issue. Bear with me, guys. I'm sorry. I'm just having a little bit of a computer thing. I got to. I don't know how to even explain what's happening. All I do, I can fix it. That's good. It's good that I can fix it. So I don't need to be able to explain it. Oh boy. Hold on. Give me a second. Well, this sucks. What the hell? Jesus, you know what? I tweet too much. And then when I try to find something, I'm like, oh, I just tweeted that last night. And then it turns out, oh, you tweeted 500 things last night. I'm not going to give up. Not going to give up until I find this fucking thing. All right. Apparently, I'm giving up. Apparently, I am giving up. Anyway, there was this great video of Greg Biffle giving instructions. Apparently this video was like sent to all the people that pledged to help him. When he was doing the North Carolina cleanup and rescuing people and all of that stuff, he put it out on his socials that he needed an army of people to join him to help him. So he made a video where he was giving instructions, and I wanted to show it to you because it was an amazing fucking video. And he's like, here's what we're going to do. I need people with pickup. Like, he's telling all of these people, if you got a pickup truck, I need you to meet you over at my house. Okay, here's the number. And here's what we're going to do. We got this truck, and he's in his driveway, and he points to his truck. There's a giant flatbed semi-trailer filled with pallets. And he's like, okay, see these? These are the chainsaws. When we get to the location, I'm going to need each of you. If you've got a front loader, I'm going to need you to bring it. We're going to get the trunk. We're going to get them. It was just amazing. And then that was interspersed with video of him in his helicopter swooping down into floodwaters and rescuing people. I mean, he was a good dude. He cared. He's like, well, anybody would have done that. I'm like, oh, really? Because I don't know that Jimmy Johnson was out there doing that. I don't know that fucking Kyle Petty was out there doing I'm sure everybody pitched in. But even at the time, I remember the news reports about what Greg Biffle was doing to help North Carolina hurricane relief. It's fucking cool. He just cared. And I saw it firsthand. I saw him firsthand be cool with people, treat them like he wasn't a celebrity and they wanted his autograph, but just like, hey, nice to meet you. Now we're friends. He was a good person, and now he's dead. And every time a good person dies, that feels like a fucking punch to the gut. Because we need all the good people we can get in this world. Greg Biffle and his family, best thoughts. All right. No, I'm not going to show you the fiery wreck of the place. That's all just a little bit too parasitic for me. All right, here we go. Let's make it a little bit lighter here. I had a whole lot more planned for the Greg Biffle thing, but I don't want to do it. All right. So let's I'm going to ask you all to clear your minds and be open-minded, okay? I want you to be open-minded for me on this one. Because, we live in a partisan, divided nation, and there are people who, no matter what comes from one side, they're going to hate it. I just ask you to be open-minded. Hold on, do we have an announcement? I don't know if I even watched this. Yeah, here it is. All right, check this out. All right, just be open-minded, man. That's all I ask. Hold on. Beep, baba, bop, pork. Yep, we got it. All right, here we go. Again, a reminder. I need you people to watch this and then just be open-minded. All right, here we go.
In the fall, we will host the first ever Patriot Games, an unprecedented 4-day athletic event featuring the greatest high school athletes, one young man and one young woman from each state and territory. But I promise there will. In the fall, we will host
That's it?
the first ever Patriot Games.
All right, there you go. The announcement of the first ever Trump. Are we going to call it the Trump Patriot Games? I don't know. We're going to call it that. He probably wants to call it that. All right, so there you go. I asked you to be open-minded. President announced last night that there would be a new, what is it, like the Olympics? There would be a new athletic competition. I mean, this has Third Reich all over it. It does. It's like, let's get the finest young specimens from all 50 states. And then let's clone them. It's, whatever. I'm asking you to be open-minded. I'm allowed to have a little fun with the concept. I think this is a great idea. I think it's a cool idea. I think that if Joe Biden had come up with this, there would be plenty of people who are out there running around going, he's trying to create the real Hunger Games. No, he's not. No, he's not. Look, here's the problem with this. The problem with this Patriot Games idea is that 100% this is his idea. 100%. He was taking his shit. He was probably watching the Hunger Games. I don't know. 100% this is Trump's idea. Now here's the problem with it. I love the idea. I'm just really disturbed that it came from the president. This is not an idea. This is not what the president needs to be thinking about. The president of the United States should not be thinking about some incredibly high-rated television event. That is not what we need the president. We need the president to be a competent person. He's not. He's incompetent. But, this is fun. Now the left went nuts. The left went all Hunger Games. It's the Hunger Games. You didn't say we're going to kill anybody. They're just going to arm wrestle and stuff. I don't know what this is going to be. Here's the premise. Trump wants the two best athletes from every state. Trump wants the best guy and the best girl high school athlete, which I love. I love it. These aren't like grown-ups. These are high school kids. This will be fun. So they want, and just imagine what's going to happen at the state level to qualify to be the one. I mean, that's going to create a whole new kind of thing at the state and regional level. I mean, it's not just going to be, we're going to pick them. No, there are going to be athletic competitions in all 50 states to determine who is going to be the best male athlete and the best female athlete. I think it's going to backfire on Trump, though. I really do. I think the first Patriot Games is going to be all black kids. I think it's going to be all black kids. And they're going to be, what do you mean the best athlete in Rhode Island is a black girl? Yeah, I think that's, I mean, I imagine they're all, thinking of like, doughy white farm boys and, Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island. I don't think it's going to be that. I think if it comes down to like a 40-yard dash or something, it's going to be all black dudes. Hey, I'm fine with that. It's not a problem for me. I just think it's going to be a problem for the person who envisioned this. It's going to be all black dudes. Dude, I mean, come on. What are we talking about? Athleticism. How are we going to determine at the high school level athleticism? It's going to be sprinting, right? It's going to be sprinting. And, I jokingly said arm wrestling. I don't think that's going to be it. It's going to be sprinting. Maybe wrestling. It's got to be wrestling. Wrestling like Greco-Roman, right? No, American freestyle. It'll be American freestyle because these are the Patriot Games. Yeah, so wrestling. There'll be some white boys in wrestling. White boys are good wrestlers, although that's not really a white or black kind of sport, so it could be mixed up. But I'm telling you, high jump, all of that shit. If we're doing, dude, look at the Olympic team. Look at the U.S. Olympic team. Unless the Winter Olympics is different. Winter Olympics, all white people. It's all white people sports. Not the Summer Games. I mean, you gotta go look at the gymnasts to maybe find some people that aren't black. And even then, they're gonna end up being Chinese. So all of our little Asian gymnasts, same goes for our figure skaters. There's no good white. We haven't had a good white figure skater since, Tanya Harding bashed Nancy Kerrigan's leg. Now it's all, I almost just said, now it's all Chinese kids, but not, it's Asian kids. Better not have a spelling contest in these Patriot Games because it's going to be all Pakistani kids winning that one. Because, I think that this is a very pro-America kind of thing, the Patriot Games. And, Trump is a racist. So, he's going to be like, Patriot Games. And he's imagining, some like, Boy Scouts from the 1950s. He's imagining it ain't going to be what it is. It's going to be a bunch of black 17-year-old dudes with dreadlocks running 4.340s. That's what it's going to be. What happened to, all right. Patriot Games. I ask you to be open-minded because I think it's going to be fun. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. My only concern in this whole deal is that it came from the president. Shouldn't have come from the president. Should have come from a network head. Should have come from, Ted Sarandos from Netflix. He should have been like, let's have a meeting with the White House. We've got this thing we're going to produce. We think it's a really good idea, and we'd love to get the White House. That's where the idea should come from, not the president. Or Don Jr. I don't know, some idiot came up with this idea. We just know it. And it proves the old adage that, even a blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while, because although an idiot probably came up with this, I don't think it's an idiotic idea. I think it's a cool idea. It's a fun idea. And I look forward to the first ever Patriot Games. It's going to be the two best athletes from every state. It's going to be all black kids. Pugs, are you saying that blacks are better athletes than whites? Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. I absolutely am. All I got to do is look at professional sports with the exception of Major League Baseball and hockey. I mean, they pretty much dominate everything. They dominate soccer, football. They dominate that. They dominate American football. They dominate basketball. Better athletes. That's just a fact. I'm a doughy white guy. I can see. I'm like, yeah, they can definitely jump higher than me. Barney says the selection process seems very problematic. What's the selection process? No blacks? Is that it? Gymnasium. You fill it. Get a gymnasium. Fill it with 50 dudes. Right? No, 50 dudes, one from each state. No, you got to do it at the state level. Okay, so we'll do this at the state level. So like Texas, let's get like a big auditorium in Austin, and then let's invite the toughest kid from every high school in Texas, and we'll put him in there, and it'll just be like a battle royale, right? And the one left standing, that's the guy. It's the guy who goes and represents Texas. It better not be based on anything having to do with speed. Because I just think it's funny. I just don't think they thought it through. I just don't think that Trump thought it through. I think Trump imagines a whole bunch of like really handsome, clean-cut white people, participating like it's the 1950s, like it's some Boy Scout fucking training film from the 1950s. No. It ain't going to be that. It's going to be tattoos, dreadlocks, fake nails. He's not going to like what he sees. Anyway, the Patriot games are coming, and I'm telling you, we should all get behind it. It's fun. The president did another fun thing yesterday. Oh, God, it's so fun. I tell you, this guy's the funniest. This guy is so funny. Look, don't be like, hey, Pugs, we know you don't like Trump. Why do you say that he's funny? Because once you get to the point where you recognize that this is just a waiting game, we just got to wait this out. We just got to make sure that he doesn't do anything too bad, right? We just got to wait it out. Once you get through that, you can just laugh at it all. You can just be like, oh my God, he's a troll. The president of the United States is like a 15-year-old troll. He's a troll. And he just does these things that are so funny. Like remember when he renamed the Gulf of Mexico? Remember he pretended it was called the Gulf of America now, and he signed something. It's now, again, going back to everything's a fucking construct. Nobody in the world calls it the Gulf of America. And the entire world still calls it the Gulf of Mexico. Not sure what Google is currently doing, but I think let's see. Is Google calling it the Gulf of America still? Do you remember? You remember for like a couple of days after Google called it the Gulf of America? Because they didn't want to make them mad. Hold on, let me see what they're calling it these days. What does Google have it? Google has... Okay. Nope, Google's got Gulf of America. Google's still Gulf of America. All right, but here's the thing. We can call it anything we want. The rest of the world doesn't recognize it as that. It's the Gulf of Mexico still. All right? Same thing with the Department of War. The Defense Department used to be called the Defense Department. Now it's the Department of War because apparently that sounds more alpha. And Pete Hegseth has such a small penis that he needs absolutely everything associated with him that isn't his actual male member to be very big and intimidating. So Department of War is what they went with. Nobody's going to call it that after he's gone. All right. It's silly. But Trump does these things. He does these things. I used to think he does it to please the really stupid people who vote for him. And by the way, I wanted to say this. I felt bad about this. When I say that Trump appeals to the stupids, he does. He appeals to the stupids. But that's not every Trump voter. Every Trump voter is not stupid. Some of you are just jerk-offs. Some of you are smart, but you are a jerk-off. So Trump did it again yesterday. He renamed the Kennedy Center the Trump Kennedy Center. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, that is so funny. Why? Because it drove libtards nuts. They went crazy. Oh, he can't do this. Apparently he can't. See, here's the thing. There is a law that says he can't just rename the Kennedy Center any easier than he could rename the Lincoln Monument or the Washington Monument or the Jefferson Memorial. Those are named and established by an act of Congress. The Kennedy Center in Washington falls under that same jurisdiction. You can't, the president just can't rename it, all right, by law. But again, laws are just constructs. And guess what he did? He renamed it. He just renamed it. And they're like, you can't do that. And he's like, what do you mean? I just did. And they're like, no, you can't do that. And he's like, but I just did. So the Kennedy Center, which is the epicenter of the American cultural scene, the Kennedy Center has always been run by a board of very elitist, very sophisticated people who enjoy opera and the ballet. You know, people like that were on the Kennedy Center board. Well, Trump fired all those people. He fired all those people last year, and he created a new board that has Judge Jean Pirro on it, and who else? A whole bunch of clowns. I mean, it's just a bunch of silly people. A bunch of silly people from Fox News. They're all in charge of the Kennedy Center now. So yesterday they held a unscheduled. Okay. Sorry, I just got some breaking news here. It's not important. Forgot what I was saying. Talking about. So yesterday they had a meeting that wasn't scheduled, a board meeting, and it was done via Zoom. And I guess the person who called the meeting is it the Dells? Is it Michael Dell who was like put in charge of this board? And I guess it was from like Michael Dell's house, and all the other new crazy, weird, Greg Gutfeld is now in charge of American culture, whatever. All these people who were named to the board after Trump fired them all. They held this impromptu meeting last night and decided to rename the Kennedy Center the Trump Kennedy Center. And then so immediately the White House had whoever, or maybe they did it. I don't know how this happened, but the website has changed. The Kennedy Center, the official KennedyCenter.gov or whatever website now says the Trump Kennedy Center. He took his name and put it in front of our slain U.S. President John F. Kennedy, who the building is named after, the institution is named after, and he just shoehorned his name in there, and that is hysterical. Fucking hysterical. Because it drove lefties nuts. Well, here's what you got to do. You just got to go, oh, that's funny. All right. So, I mean, it's not like permanent. It's not going to be permanent. Like the next guy who comes in is not going, they're going to change that. They're going to fire. They don't need Ted Nugent and Kid Rock on the board. They're all going to get fired. They're going to go back to, everything's going to go back to normal. Right now, shit's just wild because this dude can might be coming to an end. But this dude could, up until recently, just basically get away with anything he wants to do. Did you see what he did? We didn't even talk about this the other day. But again, hysterical. What he did with the White House portraits. Did you guys see this story? He took, there's I guess this area in the White House that's got pictures of all of the presidents, and he just had captions added to all the pictures with his fucking hot takes on every president. It's all you walk by and there's a picture of Abraham Lincoln. There's a picture of Abraham Lincoln, and then there's a little plaque underneath it that, is whatever Trump's hot take on Lincoln is. The ones with Joe Biden, he's like, this is Sleepy Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States. I mean, it says that on the official plaque for President Biden in the White House. It's hysterical. It's hysterical. And it will be there forever. No, it won't. Whoever comes in next, whenever the system gets back to some form of, oh my God, some semblance of normalcy, I mean, those will be the first things to go. But it's funny. it's funny because he's not doing it. I think he's doing it just to fuck with, blue hairs and the super emotional, the easily triggered, and they're all on the left. Don't get me wrong, the right is really easily triggered too, but you can do that in other ways. But in this particular, situation, it is he's just making y'all go crazy, and it's very funny. For me in the middle, I'm like, oh, you're really upset about this. Like, you think this is real. It is real. Look, he did it. I go, no, I know he did it, but it's not real. I mean, yes, it exists. It's not real. It's not called the Trump Kennedy Center any more than it's called the Department of War or the Gulf of America. None of those things are real. None of them are going to stick. Stop it. Let him do whatever the fuck he wants. I mean, that's the deal. He gets to do whatever he wants. I never thought that was the case, by the way. I never thought before that I thought there were checks and balances. I didn't know that a president could just do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, while simultaneously actually not doing fucking anything at all. I didn't think that was possible, but that's what we got. That's what we got with this lunatic. He's very funny. And I think he's doing it on purpose. All right, now let's get into the interesting part. Let's get into what's really got me upset today. So I'm old enough to know all of the incarnations, all of the versions of Tucker Carlson. I mean, I go back to liberal Tucker Carlson. I go back to liberal progressive Tucker. I remember when he was doing that. Remember very early on when he was sort of the square liberal on MSNBC? He wore the bow tie everywhere. I'm Tucker Carlson. I'm wearing a bow tie performatively so that you remember me as the guy who wears the bow tie. And he was very progressive. And then, he got fired. And then he ends up over on Fox. And now all of a sudden he's Tucker Carlson on Fox. Tucker Carlson benefited from the implosion of what's his face? Bill O'Reilly. Remember, Bill O'Reilly was the 8 o'clock guy on Fox, and he was a juggernaut. He was a monster. And I think, was it Hannity that was at 7? And then maybe Tucker was at 9 or whatever. It was weird. Anyway, Tucker wasn't a star, and Hannity was, second string to Bill O'Reilly. And then something happened with Bill O'Reilly where he's gone, and then Hannity moves into that spot. I don't know whatever it was, but it was Tucker's rise coincided with the fall of Bill O'Reilly. It made room at Fox, and that's where he slid in. And he became very Fox friendly. When he was on MSNBC, he was very MSNBC friendly. The man enjoys a pay cut or a paycheck, and he will do what it takes to please his bosses. That's what I know about Tucker Carlson. So as the landscape in American politics over the past 10 years now almost began to change and shift radically into the just complete nonsense that we deal with now, 10 years ago, honestly, 10 years ago, people were not comfortable going, speaking into a camera and going, yeah, I'm fucking racist. What do you want? That's a new thing where people are now emboldened and comfortable being that. That wasn't always the case. So as that was shifting, as that was changing and becoming a thing, Tucker Carlson jumped right on that, and Tucker Carlson became one of the fucking worst people on the planet. Oh, and then when he got blown out at Fox for being one of the worst people on the planet, when Fox can't abide your behavior, you know that you have crossed some kind of moral and ethical lines. Anyway, as he got jettisoned from Fox, he really doubled down on the crazy because he understood that he was now going to have to be on the internet exclusively. Yes, he had a bit of a head start because of a built-in, what they call pocket listeners or pocket audience members from Fox. He was already known on Fox, so he could launch an online show, and he will have a nice little following based on nothing more than his Fox audience. But how do you succeed and how do you grow in the political world, especially the right-leaning political world of, say, 2018 or whenever this went down? You become extreme. And Tucker Carlson became very extreme. And he benefited greatly. Tucker Carlson, after being fired and let go from old-timey cable news Fox, became bigger, more influential, and more dangerous, in my opinion, than he ever had been before. So yeah, go ahead, fire him, Fox. They're like, well, we'll fire you. It's another example of somebody who fucking gets kicked out on their ass, and then it turns out, hey, guess what? They didn't need the gatekeeper system. They didn't need Fox News being the only reason they're on the air. The only reason you have a voice, Tucker, is because of us at Fox News. We are the gatekeepers who allowed you. Wait, what? He's streaming? What? He's got more viewers on YouTube than he's ever had in primetime here on. Wow. So he got real extreme for a while there. Then, because he is an incredibly smart man, Tucker Carlson is brilliant. I worry that Tucker Carlson is going to throw his hat in the political ring because he is. I don't know what he is. I don't know what he is because I've seen him be so many different things. I've seen him morph and change and take advantage of the climate, being able to see what the new mood is going to be and get out in front of it and become sort of the Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer of whatever crazy thing is about to become all we talk about. He was good at that. He's smart, well-educated, wealthy, comes from a very powerful and well-connected family, both politically and business-wise. His family founded the Swanson TV dinner company. Well, his stepfather, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. His mother's family, his grandfather was ambassador to the court of fucking St. James or something like that. Look at US. So look, he comes from a different world than we do. He comes from a world very similar to Trump's world, the world of privilege and all of that. But he's very smart. And Tucker Carlson has begun to sort of swing in a different direction again, if you will. He first upset a lot of his people on the right by becoming pro-Palestinian or pro-Gaza or whatever, anti-Israel, I suppose. I mean, right now the big rift going on in the GOP is between support, unquestioned, no matter what, support of Israel, and the people in the GOP who are like, yeah, hold on. Yeah, we agree terrorism is bad, and we agree that Israel has a right to defend themselves, but they're coming a little hot. They're coming in way too hot for our comfort level, right? There's that. And so a lot of people, a lot of MAGA people, a lot of people on the far right, they're kind of talking the way Tucker Carlson is. And who doesn't like that? Other people on the right, like Ben Shapiro, they don't like it. Candace Owens is out there going, Israel is bad. Anyway, there's a fight brewing here. And the position to sort of take or agree with what Tucker Carlson is now currently at, which is let's tap the brakes on Israel because they can't just have carte blanche to do whatever they want and we're just across the board going to be like okay with it. That's where Tucker Carlson is now on this issue. And I think that's where most moderates are. And I think that's where certainly there are many far left people who agree with that. There are many far left people who think that Israel is the Antichrist and that these people in Gaza and Palestine and any of the contested territories, these people are being enslaved and genocide is taking place. That's the far left. But Tucker Carlson is no longer a flag bearer for the far right on the issue of Jesus and Israel. No, he's been questioning it. So he got up at one of these conferences. I think this is a big one, right? I think this is what is this? Is this the Turning Point? Yeah, it's a Turning Point conference. Tucker Carlson got up and he basically stole my entire bit. He stole my entire bit down to the fucking numbers that I use. Let's listen to what Tucker Carlson is now saying about the state of America and where his head is at. And let's just see if this reminds you of something that, I don't know, somebody's been saying for 4 fucking years. Here's Tucker Carlson stealing my bit.
Most people agree with that. Most Americans have more in common with each other than they disagree on. And almost everybody agrees on that. And almost everybody is willing to tolerate a good faith argument about how to get there. Except a few. And they're the ones running around calling everyone an anti-Semite. But everyone else is like, yeah, of course, that should be the debate. And they'll vote for you. They want that because they know they haven't had that. That's the fact. And what you're watching now, attacking millions of Americans because they're Muslims, it's disgusting. And I'm a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I know there's a lot of effort to claim I'm a secret jihadi. I'm not. You should not attack people on those grounds. And you're seeing it from Republicans. What the hell are you doing? What you're doing is trying to divide the country. And I've lived through 50 years of this crap. All these fake race wars that they're always promoting. Oh, go hate each other while we loot the treasury. That's exactly what's going on. And most people are totally sick of that. So yes, there is a possibility for a huge coalition of decent people once they free their minds from the traps set for them by others and realize, wait a second, we all want to make this country better. And the 15% or 30% who don't, okay. Good luck in Maryland or wherever you wind up. But the rest of us would like to fix it.
Fuck you! Fuck you, Tucker! Seriously, that's going to become, that's a new thing. The way he presented that out there, that is now going to be the way he is going to explain it. That there are 15% over here who we can't deal with. There are 15% over here combined. There are 30%, but that leaves 70% of us normal people. This guy is doing my bit. And he's going to get credit for it. You can't tell me that 4 years ago, that's the way that Tucker Carlson was looking at this situation. Oh, hell no. 4 years ago, Tucker Carlson was still employed, right? Wasn't he still on Fox? I don't know. Maybe it went down earlier than that. But 4 years ago, Tucker Carlson was one of the most divisive motherfuckers on the planet. And I'm sitting here all alone, screaming at clouds, going, there's 15% on the right, there's 15 and 30. And it's now Tucker's bit. It's now Tucker's whole thing. I'm actually not upset. It's proof of concept. That's how an optimist looks at these things. It's proof of concept. And it's crazy. It's probably the first time in forever that I've agreed with something that Tucker Carlson has said. I don't think he's authentic because, again, as I said, I remember bow tie, liberal, MSNBC Tucker. And then I remember all of a sudden Fox News Tucker. So he's very smart about, he's a shit talk sailor. He knows exactly the way the wind is going to blow for him to get his mast in the right direction. But he's doing my bit. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if that could be good for the style of show that we do. I have no idea. But isn't that wild? Isn't that wild? The exact same thing that I've been saying. And I didn't hear that somewhere. That's just really my own numbers. 15 on one side. 15% of people have a closet filled with MAGA merchandise, and they won't ever hear anything negative about their chosen leader because they're in a cult, because they're fucking weirdos. They're not particularly smart, or as I pointed out earlier, they're either dumb or just jerk-offs, and that's it. We're done with them. They're probably a little mentally ill. Well, I believe we're all a little mentally ill. They're probably significantly mentally ill with the way they see the world. That's 15% on the right. Then you got the exact same thing about 15% of the people over there on the left. These are the people who are like, I think that a trans woman should be able to fight, whatever that I think there are more than two genders. Those are the 15% over there and the kinds of nonsense that they say that we just can't fix either. And we allow these 15 on the right and 15 on the left to be the loudest among us. Why? Because they say the most outrageous things, and us in the 70% here in the middle, we're easily triggered. So we feed into it. Oh yeah, come on, just stop it. We need to completely ignore people who we diagnose as being a part of the 15% on either side, and just focus on people we can do business with, which is the rest of us. Beep, babadoo, bop, bop. Hold on. I don't know why this doesn't work. I don't know why I can't do this. This is so problematic. Barney's in the chat room. Barney says, regarding Tucker Carlson, I was never a fan, but he definitely lost me at Churchill was the real bad guy. Yeah. Yeah, but see, this is kind of what I was trying to explain about Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is not an ideologue. Tucker Carlson does not drink the Kool-Aid. Tucker Carlson is an incredibly smart man who was prepared for this world by people who were very well connected. Tucker Carlson knows what he's doing. He can move with the wind. When Tucker Carlson said that, and Barney's referencing a quote, an absolutely absurd quote that had him trending and his hits going up, Tucker Carlson said that Churchill was the real bad guy. And that's obviously nonsense. But I do not for 1 minute believe that Tucker Carlson actually thinks that's true. I think that Tucker Carlson knew that that was the kind of take that would get him all kinds of attention. And remember now, in the world of social media, negative attention is good. Negative attention, there's no difference between negative attention and positive attention. It doesn't matter as far as the algorithm and the way you get paid and all that stuff. A hit is a hit is a hit. A click is a click is a click. And if you can trigger somebody to being so upset with you that they forward what you've posted and they're like, I can't believe he said this, you are playing into their game. And I fall victim to it all the time. I allow myself to get triggered. It's part of the reason that I spend a little bit of time each night on Twitter, or subtweeting and being a reply guy. It's because I enjoy that endorphin rush. I know that I'm being triggered. I know that half the shit that I forward and have a comeback to, like, oh, this guy says this, whatever, half that shit, I completely understand that the person who originally posted it isn't being authentic, that they're just trying to get this response out of me, and I fall victim to it. Why? Because I like an endorphin rush. I like my brain to go, so it's fun. As long as you understand that that's what's happening here. And that you go, okay, that's enough. That's enough. I mean, do you remember I used to, before I completely understood how my brain and social media, I would spend hours and hours and hours. I mean, we're going back 10 years, but hours and hours and hours on Facebook, just scrolling, getting that next. You got to realize that something is happening, and too much of anything is always bad for you. And your fucking aunt, who for the last 15 years has done nothing but hang out on Facebook, is retarded now because of that. All right, what else we got? Let's see here. We talked about Tucker Carlson stealing my whole bit. Guys, all right, now it's time to have a little bit of fun. Tonight on Netflix, y'all got Netflix? Of course you do. Who doesn't have Netflix? Everybody's either got Netflix or they have access to a Netflix account, right? Everybody's got Netflix, so this probably shouldn't be hard for many of you to watch. Tonight on Netflix, Jake Paul is fighting Jake Paul. Now, here's the thing. That Jake Paul. I don't know who Jake Paul is. I mean, I know who Jake Paul is. The entire world knows who Jake Paul is. We just don't know why. We know who he is, but we all know who he is. Jake Paul is a YouTuber. He's somebody that I would say that it's somebody that the kids know, but Jake Paul's been around so long now, they're not kids anymore. Jake Paul himself, I think, is breathing down 40 at this point. I don't know how old he is, but he's certainly not a 19-year-old. So Jake Paul and his brother Logan, right? It was Jake and Logan, but Jake is the one that fights. I guess Logan fights too, but Jake is the one that is the serious fighter. Jake is a heavyweight boxer, and what turned out as a bit is now in year 5? How long have we been watching Jake Paul get a bunch of fucking tomato cans put in front of him, and he's allowed to win, and we all go, I can't believe he won again. The fact of the matter is, and this can't be understated, 5 years ago or whenever it was when this whole thing started, you had every right to say Jake Paul's not a real fighter. He's going to get his clock cleaned. This bit's been going on for 5 years, people. He's now been training with the absolute best boxing trainers for 5 fucking years. And he's been in the ring with real professional fighters. Now, He fought Mike Tyson, okay? He fought Mike Tyson, and he beat Mike Tyson. That was the first Netflix one over the summer. Remember Jake Paul fought Mike Tyson, and we were all like, he's going to get his ass kicked. Mike Tyson's going to rip his head off. And then Jake Paul just fucking beat the shit out of the fucking 83-year-old Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson looked every bit the old fucking man who just should not be anywhere near a very big, very buff, very athletic young man. And look, you can hate Jake Paul all you want. Hate him all you want. Maybe he's irritating. Maybe, you've seen some clip. I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy. That dude's a fucking beast. That can't be. I don't give a shit if it's steroids or whatever. He looks like he's roided out. That dude is a fucking beast. Just because you think he's a YouTube drip, don't underestimate him as an athlete. Apparently, he's also a very good athlete. He looks like a good athlete. He's thin. He's chiseled. And apparently, as I pointed out, he's a good boxer. He has turned himself into a good boxer under the tutelage for 5 years, every fucking day, training with the best boxing trainers in the world. The guy has beaten real fighters. And the draw for a Jake Paul fight has always been, let's watch Jake Paul get his ass kicked. And the thing that has been so frustrating with Jake Paul fights is that Jake Paul has never gotten his ass kicked. Jake Paul's won every fight. Many of them that I've seen, I've had questions. Ben Askren, but years ago he fought Ben Askren, an MMA guy. And everybody's like, oh, Ben Askren is so much tougher than Jake Paul. And I remember going, but Ben Askren has never put boxing gloves on in his life. And this is a boxing thing. Ben Askren is one of the best MMA wrestlers in the world, but that skill set is illegal in this match. So why are you people thinking that Ben Askren is going to beat? And of course he didn't. And then who was the other one? Anthony, no. It was the kid from St. Louis, the MMA fighter from St. Louis. He's a good fighter. That was a guy who had a little bit of boxing experience. He was good with the hands in MMA. And so we thought, oh, maybe he'll be able to. He didn't do it. Jake Paul won that one. Then there was the Mike Tyson fight. Jake Paul wins that one, the Mike Tyson fight. So tonight is the next Jake Paul fight. Now, why am I saying that you must tune in for this? Look, I don't care if I'm tuning in for it. I'm going to be there. I'm going to plan my whole night around it. I'm planning my whole night around this fight tonight, and I'm planning my whole night tomorrow around the Bears-Packers game. So I got a whole sporty boy weekend kind of set up. Jake Paul is fighting Anthony Joshua tonight. Anthony Joshua is a British fighter. Anthony Joshua, I think, is a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. Anthony Joshua beat up Anthony Klitschko. Right, Anthony. It was Vladimir. I don't know if it was Waldemir or if it was the other. Whatever. Anthony Joshua beat up a Klitschko. Anthony Johnson was the unified heavyweight champion of the world on one occasion, and I believe a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world, non-unified, in other occasions. Anthony Joshua is 35 years old. Anthony Joshua is still currently in his boxing career. He took some time off after losing the title. Was it to Ruiz? I think it was Ruiz 2, right? Ruiz 2 upset Joshua to take the title, so Joshua was looking to do something else. And along comes Jake Paul. Jake Paul is like, hey, he called out Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua was like, wait, what? Wait, isn't your boxing career a bit? My boxing career, I'm an actual world champion. I'm like really good. Aren't you kind of like a bit guy and you're calling me out? Well, it's a real fight. It's a real sanctioned fight. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds, so not a full 12 round. There are a couple of interesting rules. For instance, Anthony Joshua cannot come into this fight weighing more than 245 pounds. That's okay. They weighed in yesterday. Everything is good there. And Jake Paul's talking mad shit. I'm gonna show you that I belong. And what are you all gonna say when I knock out Anthony Joshua? Jake Paul says when he knocks out Anthony Joshua tonight, Jake Paul wants a shot at the current heavyweight belt. Somebody will give it to him. If Jake Paul knocks out Anthony Joshua tonight, I will champion in that. I will go online. I'll be like, somebody needs to give Jake Paul a legitimate title shot because he just knocked out Anthony Joshua. See, it's not going to happen. I promise you. I promise you that Jake Paul is not going to knock out Anthony Joshua unless it's a massive fix. And after watching Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, I thought that was fixed. I thought that was the day they paid Mike, right? Mike probably needs about, $100 million. And this fight came along and they said, hey, Mike, $100 million, don't fight back or whatever. It's boxing and it's Jake Paul. So what do you think? They would never do that in boxing. Boxing is a very above board sport. Anyway, that fucking Tyson thing was nonsense. So the only way, I'm telling you right now, the only way that Jake Paul wins tonight is if there is some kind of a fix. And that would be a concern of mine if Anthony Joshua was legitimately retired. Anthony Joshua is trying to get back to a title shot. Anthony Joshua, at 35 years old, thinks that he could be heavyweight champion again. So this is a real fight. So this is such a step down in competition for Anthony Joshua. People are like, well, why are you taking this fight? In fact, legitimate boxing people are very upset with Anthony Joshua because this is going to delay a proposed fight between him and somebody else whose name escapes me at the moment, who is like the number one contender in the heavyweight division. And they're like, why is he wasting our time? If he's going to fight, he needs to fight for the title. We need to get him on the title track instead of fucking around with Jake Paul. Well, $176 million guarantee. That's why Anthony Joshua is doing it. $176 million for fighting Josh Paul. He wouldn't have gotten anything near that for fighting whoever the hell else it is. So he's going to take the big payday. And I think he's going to murder Jake Paul. This isn't even anybody who knows anything about sports. Again, unless this is a fix. But how could it be a fix? Anthony Joshua is still currently back in legitimate boxing. He's not going to take a fucking, he's like, if he wants a title shot again, and he's like one of the top contenders, he's one of the guys that they're working into position so that he can get another shot at a title, because Anthony Joshua is a pay-per-view draw. They want that at the top of heavyweight boxing. So they're trying to make it so that if he were to lose, he's done. If he's to lose, he falls completely out. Nobody's going to put him in a title fight against the legitimate current heavyweight champion of the world if he just lost to Jake fucking Paul, a YouTuber. It's going to set him back. So as Jake Paul is openly saying, this is what you all wanted. You all want to see me get my ass beat. Yes, Jake, I do want to see you get your ass beat, and I think it's going to happen tonight. Anthony Joshua is huge, and he's fast. And Jake Paul is like, yeah, but I'm so much smaller and quicker. There's no way he's going to be able to catch up with me. I'm like, this is a thin, raily, super fast heavyweight champion who's got about 6 inches on you and about 30 pounds. Anthony Joshua is going to KO him in the first round. I believe he's going to KO him in the first round. Anthony Joshua, look, this isn't the first time that he's done what is sometimes derisively referred to as a circus fight. He fought Francis Ngannou. If you guys know anything about UFC and MMA, Francis Ngannou is the former UFC heavyweight. Francis Ngannou left the UFC because he wanted to go into boxing. Francis Ngannou is a very good boxer. So Francis Ngannou left the UFC after losing the heavyweight title and decided to transition and become a boxer for the rest of his career. And so in one of the first fights that Francis Ngannou had, and if you've ever seen Francis Ngannou fight in the UFC, you know what a scary and relentlessly brutal monster he is. Francis Ngannou steps into the ring, his first boxing match against Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua fucking K's him in the first couple of seconds. It was just boom, Ngannou's gone. It wasn't even work for Anthony Johnson. So I got to imagine that Francis Ngannou could probably kick the shit out of Jake Paul. And if we saw Anthony Joshua do that to Francis Ngannou, I mean, I know now we're talking about NFL math, right? You know, so, well, if we beat you and they beat them, and then that means we were in the Super Bowl. I know that doesn't always work out. But anyway, here you go. It's tonight on Netflix. Be sure and tune in. Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Here, let me see. I think we got a little bit of a video for you. Where is the weigh-in? Here you go. Just look at the difference between these two. This is the difference between a legitimate heavyweight champion, a 3-time heavyweight champion, and some guy who talks shit on YouTube. Jake Paul is all in. Jake Paul is saying, look, this is what the haters wanted. You want to see me get my fucking neck broke by a real boxer, but if I beat him, you haters got to give me credit. And he is absolutely right. He's absolutely right. I'm still gonna, think something doesn't smell right should Jake Paul win, but if he wins, if we see a performance where he outboxes a 3-time heavyweight champion, we're going to have to give him credit. Although I am tuning in to watch Jake Paul taken out on a stretcher, because that is the end result when somebody who's not a real boxer goes up against a top line heavyweight champion. You get put into a fucking state. All right, here you go. Let's watch this. First of all, look at the size difference. And this is not, there have been circus fights where you've seen size differences before, right? But that's always, the big giant monster guy who's so much bigger is always like, well, he's been retired 15 years. And this is Anthony Joshua in like his prime still. He's a 35-year-old boxer. Boxers go till the late 40s. Thanks, George Foreman. But boxers go, he's got a lot of years left. All right, let's watch this. Jake Paul's clowning. I'm going to turn the sound off because it's just music. It's not actual sound from it, but here you go. This is the weigh-in for tonight's big Netflix fight. Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul. It's all intimidation. Joshua is just the reach. Joshua is going to be able to knock him out from, what do you think his reach advantage is? 1.5 feet? He's going to be able to knock this guy out and never even be in the same area code as him. No, but Jake Paul says he's fast. I'm fast. He's never going to be able to hit me. He's a former heavyweight boxing champion, motherfucker. He is going to hit you. All right, there you have it. And now they got to be separated. Look at this. This is like father and son. This isn't even, they're both heavyweights. One is I think Jake Paul weighed in at 225 and Anthony Joshua weighed in at 245. Look at Anthony Joshua's fucking six-pack. He is not, here's the point. He is an athlete. He's a world-class athlete in the prime of his career, and we're going to finally get to see, hopefully, Jake Paul get put into a coma tonight on Netflix. Jake Paul fighting the first, in my opinion, actual fight of his stupid and unstoried career. All right, so it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And look, I react when I make fun of Jake Paul and all that shit. When I am reacting to the public brand that Jake Paul has meticulously created and put out there. The real Jake Paul, I bet, is somebody I would love to talk to. It's like somebody I'd love because he's brilliant. He is so smart. He's really smart. He's really, I don't know if he knows trigonometry or shit like that, but he's really smart about understanding how to connect and how to do this thing. So, but I do want to see him get KO'd. Jake Paul going to get KO'd tonight. All right, what else? We got any, do we got anything else? Yeah, we still got to do some of Kelly's picks. We want to watch any videos? Oh, you want to see a crazy video? I don't know. I'm just going to show you this video. It's apropos of absolutely nothing, but I saw this and I went, oh, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on in this video. Nope, that's not it. Hold on. It's always fun when I promote something and then it turns out I don't fucking have the video. Yeah, here it is. All right. So this is a video from like the 1971 Grammy Awards, which, I didn't even know the Grammys were necessarily going on. It's a video from the 1971 Grammy Awards where the Beatles, who have recently broken up, they just won for Song of the Year for Let It Be. And only Paul McCartney is in the audience. No other Beatles have shown up. But the Grammy is being awarded to Paul McCartney by John Wayne. And Paul McCartney drags his girlfriend on stage. It's just very weird. There's a lot going on here. And I thought we could watch this because maybe bring back some fun memories. All right, here we go. This is the Beatles winning a... Oh, Jesus. Yeah, this is the Beatles. And then there's the acceptance speech. Where do you see Paul McCartney's acceptance speech for winning a Grammy? He's a fucking Beatle. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. He's a Beatle. He ain't like anybody else. Oh, other people are going to... Oh, okay, watch the way a Beatle accepts an award from its peers. It's just pretty cool. All right, here you go. It's fucking John Wayne giving the Beatles an award at the 1971 Grammys. Let's watch this. It's fun.
John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison. Let it be.
So 70s, right? Let It Be just one. And like today, they have a DJ who would actually be playing the song so that people in the audience would be like, yeah, there's the song that just won. No, 1970s, it's like Guy Lombardo and his band. It's just so weird. Hey, Doc Severinsen, everybody, and the Grammy Band. All right, here you go. Anyway, John Wayne just presented Paul McCartney. Well, not Paul McCartney. He's the only one there. He's going to accept. I'm surprised anybody was there to accept.
Accepting the...
Let me tell you something. John Lennon, I told you there's a great HBO Max. There's a great HBO Max documentary about John Lennon and Yoko Ono's first couple of years in New York when they moved to New York in the early 70s. And it's wonderful. It's really good. You get to see what kind of people they are, and they seem like they're good people. They seem like they are decent people. But what the hell is going on here? Yoko is always blamed as being the reason the Beatles broke up. That is wildly not true, but whatever. That's, the popular myth surrounding it. Paul is just as bad with Linda. It wasn't just John and Yoko. It was Paul and Linda. Paul is dragging Linda on stage with him. That fucking just grab your Grammy and go home. You don't bring your girlfriend on stage.
Award, Paul McCartney.
Anyway, we're about 10 seconds away from the greatest acceptance speech in history. How about that? How about fucking Paul McCartney of the Beatles shaking hands with John fucking Wayne? That's pretty cool. Couple of real icons. Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe he brought her up because there are 4 Grammys. There's a Grammy for Ringo, for George, for John, and for Paul. And if Paul's going up there, he's got to carry 4 because they seem to be handing Linda John, George, and Ringo's Grammys.
Thank you.
Want to see it again? That's how a Beatle. That's when you got stroke in the industry. That's a Beatle for you. Thank you. Good night. Greatest acceptance speech.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Good night. John Lennon, Paul McCartney,
Starting again.
George Harrison.
All right, there you go. That's cool. He's like, yeah, whatever. I'm a Beatle. I expect awards. Thank you. That's it. None of this. Taylor Swift, take note. Taylor Swift, who every time she wins everything, everybody knows she's going to win everything, but every time she wins anything, like, you can't believe it. It's stop it, Taylor. Stop it, fucking Taylor. But again, as I pointed out yesterday, if the most irritating thing about Taylor Swift is that she's making an attempt to appear humble in the face of great prize, well, that's not really a terrible thing, right? She's trying to be a decent person. But I hate her. Okay. Right. I don't know why you hate her. Oh, let me see here. Let's see. What else do we have? You know what? Let's get into the Kelly picks. But before we do that, let's talk about the Puka Nacua situation. Puka Nacua, of course, a terrific wide receiver for the Los Angeles Rams. Puka Nacua, I told you the story yesterday, went on the Aiden Ross live stream. Aiden Ross is, I don't know, he's a kick streamer or something. He goes on the Aiden Ross live stream, and Aiden Ross got Puka Nacua to commit to performing a specific end zone dance should Puka Nacua score. The end zone dance, I don't know if this was known to Puka or not, but the end zone dance is something known to Aiden Ross viewers as the Jew dance. And so Aiden Ross said, hey, would you do a dance for us for the show, for all of us, if you score? And Puka's like, sure, why not? And he's like, okay, here's the dance I want you to do. So then Aiden Ross made him do the Jew dance. And there's, some problems with the Jew dance. Like most notably at the end of it, he's supposed to look at the camera or whatever and go, money, 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 right? That's kind of problematic. So anyway, Aiden Ross got Puka Nacua to do this on his live stream. And then Puka Nacua leaves the live stream, goes back to his normal life, and all of a sudden the internets are all going, Puka Nacua is an anti-Semite. And he's like, what? What did I do? What do you mean I pledged to do some anti-Semitic end zone dance? I don't know. Now, yesterday I kind of, I said, look, I don't think this is a reason for us to be angry at Puka Nacua. I think Puka Nacua is probably just a kid who is naive, who has never heard this or didn't put that together. He probably has no hatred for Jews in his heart. That's why he doesn't know any of these Jewish stereotypes or tropes. Right? These are things that anti-Semites are. So he wasn't familiar with it. And I think that's what I said yesterday. I said, I bet he doesn't even know money. I bet he doesn't even know what that is or what that signifies and all that. So let's cut him a break. Now, he played last night and he scored early. And I'm like, oh, here we go. He didn't do anything. He flipped the ball. He did a little bit of like celebrating with his teammates. And then he ran to the sideline. And I'm like, what the fuck? He didn't do anything. That was his opportunity to do the Jew dance on Thursday, Prime Football. And he didn't do it. And he didn't do it because earlier in the day, and I missed this, he addressed the situation and apologized. So we shouldn't have expected him to do the Jew dance. It says here, Los Angeles Rams star wide receiver Puka Nacua apologized on Thursday after appearing on a live stream during which he performed a dance that included an anti-Semitic trope. On a show with Aiden Ross, a streamer with millions of followers, Nacua and the host practiced a dance that included gestures widely regarded as stereotypes of Jewish people. After learning the routine, Nacua said on the live stream that he would do it to celebrate a touchdown. In a statement posted to social media on Thursday, hours before his team's game against the Seattle Seahawks, Nacua said that when it was suggested that he perform the dance, he had no idea this act was anti-Semitic in nature and perpetuated harmful stereotypes against Jewish people. 100% agree, man. 100% agree. He's a dumb kid. And like I said earlier, is he from Hawaii? Maybe. If he is, that he's even dumber. People raised in Hawaii, when they come over here to them, they're even dumber about shit. It's not the same experience. So he's dumb, okay? He didn't know, not dumb, but ignorant. Ignorant, that's the word. He's ignorant that this was a trope. So forgive him. He was just trying to be a good sport. He's trying to be a good guest, and this fucking parasite, Aiden Ross, looped him into something that caused a little blowback, and he had to go apologize. He played a hell of a game yesterday. Seems to be a wonderful young man otherwise, and God bless you. Thank you for apologizing. Puka Nacua apologizes. Other than that game last night, man, oh my goodness. That game last night, all right, if you saw it, you saw it, but a lot of you probably didn't see it. That was why football is the greatest sport on the planet. That game That guy, I was willing to be up all night. I'm like, let's go. Let's tie it up. Let's go to double over. Let's go to try. Let's keep. I guess we don't do that in the NFL, right? At some point after the overtime period, we call it a tie. Didn't want a tie. Although, why didn't I want a tie? I should have wanted a tie. I should have been rooting for the tie last night. A tie would have really screwed up the NFC rankings. For if the Rams, because the only reason that the Packers are like playing catch up against the Bears and the Rams and other NFC teams that are, kind of climbing, is because they got a fucking tie. The Packers have this ugly tie. Remember when they tied the Cowboys? I said at the time, I go, that's going to come in handy. That tie for the Green Bay Packers is going to come in real handy for my Chicago Bears later in the season. So yeah, I should have wanted a tie. Because the tie, that's the difference between a half game. All right, very nice. All right, anyway, they didn't get a tie. The Seahawks won the game. The Kelly method failed. But I said the Kelly method was going to fail. Yesterday when I was doing it, I'm like, I think, wait. Yeah, the Kelly method said that a mountain ram could defeat a Seahawk, right? And I said that I wanted the Seahawks to win. Anyway, the Seahawks won. It was a crazy game. That 2-point conversion, that was a failed 2-point conversion. And then they took a look at it, and it turned out that it wasn't an incomplete pass that was stopped for a failed 2-point conversion. Turned out that it was a behind the line of scrimmage pass. So it was a live ball. It's just amazing. Look, I can't explain it. If you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't see it, I won't waste your time. But it was crazy cool football last night. Congratulations, the Seahawks won, and the Kelly method for this week is 0-1. Not good. Not good. All right, I'm going to give you the rest of the games because I gave you some of them last night. Here, let me pull up the games. Here we go. Games. Let's see all the games. We told you that the Rams were going to defeat the Seahawks. That was a miss. Tomorrow, we told you that the Washington Commanders at home will defeat the Eagles because a human being, when push comes to shove, can kill a bird. Okay? So there you go. The Commanders. Told you about Bears-Packers. And the Packers are just a union packing guy. He's just a guy who goes to work and takes paper products and packs them on trains and on boats and on trucks. He works for a union. He's just a dude. He's like your stepdad. That's what the Packers are. That dude's got to fight a bear. So take the Chicago Bears. We told you about that yesterday. Chargers, Cowboys. We told you about that one yesterday. Take the Chargers at the Cowboys because the Chargers are a lightning bolt and the Cowboys are just a dude on a horse. Vikings, Giants. It's happening on Sunday game at noon. Let's get into these. Vikings, Giants. Vikings, very formidable, very tough. Giants are Giants. Take the Giants. Kelly Method says Giants. A Giant will just step on a Viking. I don't care how fucking I don't care if it's like a berserker class Viking. A Giant will just step on it. See, I can already tell we might be having some problems with the Kelly Method this week because the Vikings are absolutely going to defeat the Giants. The Giants don't want to win any more games. Giants would like the number 1 draft pick, if at all possible. Then we got Bengals at Dolphins. Okay, so wow. Okay, Bengals, that's a Tiger versus Dolphins. This is at home with the Dolphin. Where is the Dolphin at home? In the water. This Tiger is being dropped in the water. Do cats like water? No, they don't. Dolphins win. Dolphins win. Dolphins win. Yeah, the Bengals going to drown. Now, if this was Dolphins at Bengals, that fucking Tiger, just eat that Dolphin. But no, I don't think the Bengal can handle the water. Dolphins win. Also, noon game on Sunday, we got the Buccaneers taking on the Panthers. The Buccaneers, Caribbean gay pirates taking on Panthers, big scary animals. They're at the Panthers. That means that a Buccaneer has just raided an island. They're raping and pillaging, and they go off into the brush, and they encounter a panther. I'm thinking that panther's going to kill that Buccaneer. Take the Panthers over the Buccaneers. Jets and Saints. Jets and Saints. Jets, that's just an inanimate object. It's an engine. It's an incredibly powerful engine. Get too close to it, you could get sucked in. A saint is what? Saints are all kinds of things. Saints are old ladies. Mother Teresa is a saint. No, a saint is like a warrior. No, there's that. They don't make that distinction with the New Orleans Saints. But it is a jet plane. And the jet plane is in the land of saints, and that's probably heaven. So I'm guessing the jet crashed. Take the Saints. Take the Saints over the Jets on Sunday. You enjoying how I work through these? The Kelly method, the Kelly method, the Kelly method. All right, the Bills versus Browns. This is a good matchup. Not necessarily for football skill. It's a good matchup to show two teams that almost never get the benefit of the doubt. The Browns almost never get picked as the winner because, again, it's the color brown. And anybody can just defeat the color brown. You can just add what? You can add white to the color brown, and now what do you got? You got tan. That's how you defeat the color brown. So the Cleveland Browns almost never win. And that works out well because the Cleveland Browns, in reality, not just the Kelly method, almost never win. But they're taking on the Buffalo Bills, who I often say is just a guy named Bill. Just a guy named Bill. Guy named Bill can defeat the color brown. Guy named Bill is just going to add white to the color brown. Take the Buffalo Bills over the Browns on Sunday. Then we got the Chiefs and the Titans. The Titans are, of course, they're born and raised on Mount Olympus. They are the children of the gods Zeus and, I don't know, her, Mrs. Zeus. They're the children of the gods. They're taking on an Indian chief. They are on Mount Olympus. This is a home game for the Titans. Take the Titans. Titans over the Chiefs in Tennessee. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that. Although, have the Chiefs given up because the Chiefs have been eliminated from the playoffs because they suck now, which is so nice to say. It is so nice to say. I enjoyed being able to say it a few years ago when the Patriots finally started to suck, and you can go, Patriots suck now. That's fun. It's fun now to say that the Chiefs suck. But I don't know if the Chiefs suck as much as the Titans, so they might win. But the Kelly method says, bet the Titans. Bet the Titans at home over the Chiefs. Jaguars at Broncos. This is a cat. This is a big jungle cat versus a bronking horse. I don't know who wins this one. Because I guess a Bronco, like a Mustang out there, I'm thinking a Jaguar wins this one. And this, again, isn't good for the Kelly method because I think the Broncos should win this game. Although the Jaguars, don't sleep on the Jaguars. Can the Jaguars go into Mile High? Yeah, if the Broncos are home, this is a Jaguar that has just found itself in an area where there's a bunch of horses, a bunch of wild horses. God damn, I got to ask AI. Hold on. Who would win? Who would win? I'm not going to be able to do it with vocal. I'm sorry. Who would win in a fight between a wild horse and a jaguar? All right, let's see what they say. A jaguar would likely win. All right, there you go. Take the Jaguars over the Broncos. Says a jaguar would likely win a fight against a wild horse, as the jaguar is a powerful ambush predator with the strongest bite force of any big cat. Ooh, look at that. We learned something. I didn't know that. Honestly, I thought jaguars were kind of pussies. I thought jaguars were kind of pussycats. I didn't mean it like pussycats. I meant it anyway. You get the point. All right, there you go. You're going to want to take the Jaguars going into Mile High on Sunday afternoon, 3:00. They will. Trevor Lawrence and the boys will defeat the Broncos. It's your upset special. Falcons at Cardinals. These are two birds. One bird is just a complete pussy, and the other bird is a predator. Let's go Falcons over Cardinals. Raiders versus Texans. Were there ever any pirate raids in the Corpus Christi area? I imagine, yeah, right? Because those Caribbean Buccaneers, they made their way into the Gulf of Mexico and over on the Texas side. So I imagine that there were actual pirate raids in Texas, and this is the Raiders versus the Texans. But, the people who are still there are called Texans. So take the Texans over the Raiders because although maybe pirates did use the Corpus Christi area for raids and stuff like that, that didn't stick because we still call them Texans. Take the Texans over the Raiders Sunday. Sunday also at 3 o'clock, Steelers and Lions. This is the Steelers going into the Lions. This is a steel worker. This is just a union guy, a human being. He's got no more skill than the next, except, he's got a very difficult job working in front of a blast furnace. He is a tough guy, the Steeler, certainly if we're going to compare him to the Green Bay Packer guy, but he's got to go stand in a Lions cage and punch it in the face. Take the Lions. Lions over the Steelers on Sunday. Patriots over Ravens. I don't know whether or not I should. So the Raven is a twofold character here. The Raven is just a bird. It's just a bird. It's just a bird, and not a particularly intimidating bird, a raven is. But it's a bird. But it's a Baltimore Raven. And it's called the Ravens in Baltimore because it's the home of Edgar Allan Poe. So this isn't a generic raven. This is a specific raven. This is the raven from the Edgar Allan Poe story. That raven had a specific skill set that it could drive a human being crazy. That raven was a fucking monster. So take the Ravens over the Patriots in Baltimore. Sunday Night Football. That's the Sunday night game. Yeah, I think the Ravens. I think if it's going to be the Edgar Allan Poe Nevermore, Nevermore Raven, I think it's got to win. There you go. Ravens over the Patriots on Sunday night. The Monday night game. This is the final game of the week. The Monday night game. San Francisco 49ers taking on the Baby Horses, otherwise known as the Indianapolis Colts. 49ers. 49ers are a guy. 49ers are a guy. He lives in the outdoors. He's panning for gold. He's trying to strike it rich. He went all in. He left his family, and now he's up there in the hills with his shotgun and his beans, and he's panning for gold. So that's who that guy is. We don't know if he's big and buff and tough. Like, the steel worker, what a steel worker's got to be. I don't necessarily know that there is a physical description that would fit across all the 49ers. So it's just a guy. It's just a guy going into a corral with a baby horse. I'm going to take the guy. Take the 49ers over the Colts on Monday Night Football. There you go. Those are your Kelly picks. The Kelly method for another night. I don't like a lot of these picks. We had a bad week last week. It was the first week that we were under 500. I think we were only one under 500, but still, I'll have to go back and check it. But we were under 500, and we're almost never under 500. So we need a good week this week for the Kelly method. And quite frankly, I don't like a lot of the picks. I don't like a lot of the Kelly method picks. Maddie gets it. She says the Raven mind fucks the Patriot and drives him insane. Ravens for the win. Yeah, that's what the Kelly method says. Unless, you could make the case for the Patriot too, that the Patriot gets, before he's completely insane, he's just irritated by the bird. So he turns the gun, the musket that we know he has, he just fucking shoots the bird. You could probably make that argument. But we're going to go straight up with the bird drives the guy crazy. There you go. Oh my God, what is this? I don't want this. I just got a breaking news alert. Second-by-second breakdown of fiery plane crash that killed NASCAR star Greg Biffle and his entire family. Minute-by-minute breakdown of their extreme terror. How about that for a headline? How about that for a headline? Minute-by-minute breakdown of their extreme terror. Somebody, a human being, a dead inside human being, wrote that and went, yeah, that's how we'll get clicks. We'll appeal to the people who are fascinated by the horrors that this family went through. You fucking ghoul, whoever wrote that headline. That is just ugly. Minute-by-minute breakdown of their terror. Oh, let's see. The National Transportation Safety Board gave a detailed breakdown of the tragic plane crash that killed NASCAR legend Greg Biffle and 6 others. I am not interested in it. I am not. He was a nice man. We already covered the story. I am not a ghoul. I would just like to go on to my Friday. It's a big Friday. It's a big weekend that we got. Got a lot of sports. Got nothing going on Sunday, per se, that I know of. I mean, there's football to watch, but nothing that I'm overly interested in. Tonight, we got Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. Hopefully, Anthony Joshua is going to knock Jake Paul the F out. That's what I believe is going to happen. If anything other than that happens, this is a fix. $176 million guaranteed to Anthony Joshua just to participate. Actually, that's not true. I shouldn't say that. I don't know that that's the parameters. It might be $176 million purse for the winner. I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know. Well, you'll find out. I'm not going to find out. I don't care. I just know there's a lot more money than I could, have anything to do with. Oh, and by the way, to that end, today's show, one more time, I'd like to remind you all, thank you to the good folks who keep this show running. We've been doing it now for 4 years. We exist exclusively on your tips and your gratuities. Every day, we like to thank the person who tipped the biggest on the previous show. We make them the executive producer, and we like to say that the show is brought to us by, and today it was nobody. Nobody. We got nobody. Nobody tipped the show yesterday, so let's make sure that doesn't happen again on Sunday. If you can help this show out, please drop a little something in either the Venmo or the Cash App, and we'll continue doing shows. Look, folks, we're going to continue doing shows anyway until we really can't. Like when we really can't, that'll be something that happens because they've turned shit off and the show just doesn't exist anymore, right? But as long as, it'll never be a wind down where tomorrow's the final show. No, I'll keep doing this shit as long as we can. Left of the slash, right? From the Seinfeld episode, we are not only on empty, we are left of the slash. We are seeing how far we can go. Tip the show, help us out if you can. If not, here's the thing. If you aren't willing to do any of that shit, if you're not willing to like the show, forward the show, maybe just forward any bullshit that I put out there, if you're not willing to do the heavy lifting and help us out with the algorithm, and you're not in a position where you can help the show out financially, here's what you need to do. Don't be an asshole this weekend. Just be cool to people. Just be cool to everybody okay? Is that the deal? Can we make that work? I love you guys. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.